The news just keeps coming. Some of it not the best. Big Sil's National Football Show, and happy Monday to you. But I do have to start out, of course, as I always do, Big Sil's! But man, what a broken heart. The greatest offensive lineman in pro football history passed away at the early age of 52 in Larry Allen. I've never seen a player that fast, that athletic, that powerful in my life. There has been no player that has played in the O-line that can compare to that guy. The first time I was introduced to him was through Dave Campo. Dave sent me a videotape of him bench pressing 700 pounds. Then he sent me a tape of him tracking down a linebacker on an interception that a quarterback threw. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I have never in my life seen a player that size with that type of athleticism. I know some of you think that Jordan Davis has tremendous athleticism, and he does. Not like this guy. Nothing like this. This guy's the best offensive lineman I have ever seen. And it is not close. I mean, Munoz, John Hanna, Art Shell, Upshaw, nothing like this guy. Better than Baselli. And I think a lot of Tony. And I love Tony Baselli. Incredible. What an absolutely insane football player Larry Allen was. I think he was a late draft pick. Jimmy had been scouting him. Barry came in. They drafted him. They put him on the team. And the rest was history. So rest in peace, brother. I heard he died in Mexico. And man, what an absolutely insane football player he was. Just absolutely. I got to tell you something. Before we get into the mandatory Fredo Sirianni minicamp this week. Woo! Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the first installment of the Fredo Sirianni mandatory minicamp will be on display for everyone to see. We're getting closer, obviously, to July 27th. Most teams report. I think the Packers are reporting on July 22nd. So you're going to see a lot of teams start to get their teams together. James Bradbury's still on the team. Okay. What are they waiting for? Are they going to hold on to him? We're going to know more tomorrow. If he's not released later today or early tomorrow morning, they're probably going to roll through camp with him. They're probably going to roll through camp, maybe limited when it comes to activity for him because they don't want to have him get hurt. But again, nobody in their right mind is going to trade for James Bradbury with the amount of money that's wrapped around the salary. He makes 11.2. Who in their right mind would trade for that? I wouldn't give you a 7th rounder for him. I heard the guys talking, by the way, that Marcus Hayes conversation today was spectacular. And there is a mountain of content that came out of that interview, and I implore you to go back and watch Birds 365 and listen to that interview with Marcus Hayes. Spectacular stuff. He kind of validated everything that I said. His delivery is just different and more of somebody who's talking to folks at Villanova. Where me, I talk to people at a bar. I think that's the difference between us. I thought he was spectacular. Plus his column that he wrote on Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And the untouchable, like I said, Howie Roseman. And he made a great statement that I'm going to cherry pick out of that interview on Jalen Hurts. Okay? Woo! Baby! Of course still says people agree with him. How you doing? Hey, by the way, guys, we're great. Please hit the like button. We're going to try to get to 200 likes. Twist says Marcus thinks Carter is a bust. That I disagree with. I did not see bust last year. I did not see bust. Okay? I do not agree with that. So I'll bury the hatchet on that one there. I do not see bust on Jalen Carter. Way. I think he showed too much flashes of greatness. And I think the last 6 games for him as a rookie, I think let me tell you something. When you're a rookie and things start to go to hell, it's hard for a rookie to put his hand up and go, come on, guys, follow me. That's not going to work like that. I don't think he's taken into account where he is on the depth chart when it comes to his years in the game. Okay? I don't think he's taken into consideration that. But again, I love his opinions. One of the very few things that is really good over there. McClain, Sealski, and him, I think are 3 outstanding writers that the Philadelphia Inquirer have. How about Big Sales giving some kudos to some journalists over there? Those 3 guys write really good work. I mean, they're pretty decent on the air. Pretty decent on the air. I'm good with those 3 guys. The rest of them, those 3 guys really do a nice job. Hey, one more time. If you're Devonte Smith, fire your agent immediately. Dude, you look stupid. It just looks stupid now. This has nothing to do with Howie. This has nothing to do with the Eagles. This is the player and his agent. You look stupid. You utterly look stupid. Hey, but I want to be in the... Hey, I get it. To the tune of that much lost revenue? Yeah, Smitty's a team guy. Really? Playing for half? Playing for half the money he could have got? Really? Damn. Talk about stupidity at its finest. Hey, man, it's one thing to take a $5 million haircut. It's another thing to take a $10+ million haircut. When you think CeeDee Lamb's not going to sign for $35 million also? Or $36 million, something in there? Or Jamar Chase? Kid Brown's up to dude, this guy's deal looks awful. It looks awful. It just looks terrible. Justin Jefferson is going to make in excess of $36 million, $35 million. CeeDee Lamb's going to get that as well. How about this? Even if you want to add shit up, it comes out to being where he has a dumb deal. Wait, why does he look stupid for taking a deal to keep the team together? I'll tell you in a minute. So I guess Brady was stupid too. Wait a minute. Quarterback and receiver, totally different and dumb. The quarterback invests in himself because he needs those commodities to have around him. Wide receivers that make gigantic money don't win Super Bowls. How many times have I been telling you that? You should get all the money you could possibly get. You are a position player other than the quarterback. Okay? There's my friend Mark Holmes. Let me and my Game Time Brian come on Wednesday. So you and Philly 500 can't double team me. No problem, Hoss. No problem, Big Mark. Bring your guy on. Bring all your Cowboy guys on. By the way, condolences in the passing of Larry Allen. Truly the greatest offensive lineman of all time. Devonte Smith looks stupid signing that deal. Stupid signing that deal. He's freaking happy. Why is he stupid to you? Because he burned a lot of dough. Did you get Marcel's super chat? I sure did. He's freaking happy. Why is he stupid? Because he's taking a massive haircut. What a dumbass deal. Dumb. Get all the money you can. Hey, kudos to the Eagles for taking advantage of Devonte. Way to go, man. I don't blame you. Congratulations. Eagles took advantage of Devonte Smith and his loyalty to the team and his good nature and him being a good teammate. Congratulations, Smitty. Even though you took a $12 million, $13 million pay cut, congratulations. Nice job, kid. How stupid can you get? Holy cow. This guy will never make the money, ever. And he just burned a ton of it. Too bad, man. Hey, kid, you've signed that deal a month ago, and it's already completely outdated. You could have waited at least a little longer, couldn't you? Could have been a year or so. What a shitty deal. All right. Our boy Xander was on with Marcus Hayes. He'll be on with us at 3:30. Gary Cobb will be on with us at 4:30 from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Here we go, baby. I listened to that interview. And I want to give you my takeaways because Marcus Hayes pretty much validated everything I said about two people that you have this year. Are you ready? Nick Sirianni embraces insubordination. What? He embraces insubordination. Brian Johnson and the folks who were putting game plans together. Now we know a little more about the Seattle fiasco. They were changing plays in the huddle from what was called. And Nick was embracing insubordination. Dude, know your role. How can you tell if... No wonder Brian Johnson never had a chance in Philadelphia. Yeah, Bart, because Marcus Hayes wrote a really good column. And we learned more about how Marcus, who's around the team, said that Nick Sirianni embraces insubordination. And that Hurts and the players were calling whatever they wanted at times in games and going off script. It's not your coordinator. It's your players. I don't give a fuck who you hire. This comes down to the players not listening. You know why? Because the coach has no power. It's like in Dallas. They don't listen to Mike McCarthy either. Holy cow. This ain't me talking. This is Marcus Hayes talking. Saying that there's no question Nick Sirianni, and I heard it. You got to go back and listen. He endorses and embraces insubordination. Instead of holding people's feet to the fire, don't fucking go off script like that without us knowing where you're going. Not a chance to win. No wonder that thing fell apart. The players fell apart. The players, and you all are blaming the coaches. According to Marcus Hayes, unless I heard that wrong, he put more of the emphasis on the players melting down than the coaches. And Nick endorsed it. This is Marcus saying this. I almost fell off my chair listening to that interview this morning. Nick Sirianni is okay with players in the huddle. Now, look, let's go here for a second. I want a quarterback to be able to take you out of troubles and put you in a position to win. But I'm going to get to that in a minute, too, because Marcus said something else that was vital in this. Holy cow, this has no chance of success. There's no doubt this thing ain't winning more than 7 ball games. No way. No way. No matter how much good talent you had it last year too. It won't matter. Hey, by the way, AJ Owens, I think Marcus has the same take on him as I do. This guy's a disruptive guy. Great player. Yeah, absolutely. You have to go back to Birds 365 and listen to this. I couldn't believe, by the way, you're getting mad at me for one of your sports writers in your town saying this stuff on a platform that they listen to at the NovaCare Center. I didn't say this. I didn't say this. This isn't my words. You can call me all the names you want, some of you in here. This has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. Wow. Marcus Hayes said that Nick Sirianni embraces insubordination. Now we're starting to find out a lot more about the way that team's run. Dude, he shredded the owner and the GM. Take my bet, 10 or more wins, or you wear a Browns jersey. Otherwise, you're all... I didn't say this. Twins, I didn't say this. You got me wrong, dog. I didn't say this. Got it. Hey, by the way, go back and listen. That's why we post interviews. Oh, I did say 7 games. He says no chance of success. As long as Nick Sirianni's in the building, not a chance. And by the way, Nick Sirianni is clearly in the building because the owner doesn't like to be wrong like he was about Chip. Hey, it was an education. It was, you know how Xander sometimes puts up their Philadelphia Eagle lesson on organizational and structure of the Philadelphia Eagles 101? That should have been the title of that thing. Because it told you everything you needed to know how the Eagles were run and how one guy who's not afraid in that market to make a point about Hurts, Sirianni, and the head coach and the GM. I was absolutely thrilled to see that. I can't believe that guy still works for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I can't believe the Eagles haven't barred him. I cannot believe it. Wow. What an absolute scalping. Now, I disagree with him on Jalen Carter. Yo, Dan, your word holds more weight than Hayes. That dude has no football intelligence at all. David, he is around the team, though, and they allow him in the building. Wait until it's open season on Barkley. Barb, thank you. Oh, I think that's coming, too. They send Hayes packing, though. from what I've heard. Wow. Nick Sirianni embraces insubordination. Worst thing you can hear that a coach embraces is insubordination, which means he lets the players, no wonder, it was a free-for-all. What did he say about Sirianni's demeanor too? He's one of the most weirdest dudes on the planet, his press conferences, everything. And it took leadership coming from Jason Kelce to kind of make it into like fun and a joke and not a big deal. That guy's not in the building anymore. Wow, is he going to be missed? What you had was a frat house. That was my takeaway. It was a frat house at the end. And the coach had no control over it because he couldn't fix it. Our president sucks worse than Mozzie. That's quite a super chat. Thank you, 304. Hey, that's quite a super chat. Holy cow, Marcus Hayes. I am a fan. Way to go, dude. I am a fan. Good night. This is must-see TV this year with Eagles, and not for what happens on the field, but how Sirianni implodes the season even worse than last year. DFW, oh, it's worth the price of admission. Crazy, man? Holy cow, man. Dude, you're going to have to get your popcorn, your Coronas, what have you, your margaritas, and you're going to have to pull up a chair to watch this thing, man, because this thing is going to be lit on fire starting week 1 when they get beat by the Packers in Brazil. Holy, dude, this is so unbelievably coming off. This will be off the rails before the season starts because they never fixed it. You think all of a sudden now he's not going to embrace insubordination? Jalen's no leader. Wow. Wait till we make this comment about what he made a comment on Jalen. Woo! Man! Your coach is incompetent. Sign Marcus Hayes. Wow. Nolan Smith had the same amount of sacks as Mozzie. Congratulations. They can go play in the UFL together. Hey, fantastic. Hey, and by the way, I see Marcus gets slings and arrows thrown at him now too, huh? Or aimed at him? Must be doing the right thing. No, not me, Dennis. One of your long-time sports writers. Like the Delta House. Yeah, the way that Marcus was talking, the reason why they kept that fool was because the owner doesn't like to be wrong, and he knows that Sirianni is an enabler. He's not really a great coach. He did say this, though. He thinks he's got some skills to be able to be in the locker room and deal with some of the players. Other than that, he's been a horrific play caller and a horrific designer of plays. But then again, it really doesn't matter. You know why? The players don't follow script. Can you imagine that? And now, to answer your question, could Doug Peterson coach Jalen Hurts? No. Because you got to follow the rules with Doug. That's how you win. You're organized. You got organized chaos. Shit, we got a ton of shit to hit. Oh, man. Good night. Holy cow. Organized chaos. He thinks Brian Johnson shouldn't have been fired. I've been telling you the same shit. How do you know how good that guy is? Everyone got pay raises. Everybody got pay raises. Got pay raises. Everyone got pay raises. As I said, how could Brian Johnson be that bad when everyone got paid and raised? Contract extensions. How can that possibly be? Game time, Brian. Hey, Mark, is that the guy coming on? Hey, Mark, you can bring DFW and the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it won't matter. You haven't done dick in 30 years. The Pet Rock and the Chia Pet were more famous than Dallas in the last 25 years. Who are you kidding? The Chia Pet is more famous than the Cowboys in the last 30 years. The Chia Pet. Damn! How about Marcus Hayes going in on your coach? Not really. How about also Howie taking credit for the structure and the culture of the Eagles when Marcus goes, he didn't have anything to do with it. It was Joe Banner. Joe Banner was the guy that put the structure together. Howie likes taking victory laps for other people's work. I started laughing. So you know what he is? He's a plagiarist. Howie Roseman's a plagiarist. He's taking credit for Joe Banner setting up the organization for what it is now in the structure. And Howie, this is my culture. Oh, really? Thank you, Marcus. Damn! Oh, man. Dude, that's one of the best interviews I have ever heard. That's a fake Mark account, Sills. Cowboys fans trying to get someone else on your show. Be wise, bro. Marshall, we'll reach out to Big Mark. You think I'm going to let just some stiff on the program? This is our bastion, my friend. Have no fear. They try to do that shit too on Birds and that guy, Bill Cauliflower, who we used to have on. Remember that guy, Bill Cauliflower? He used to come on all the time, and they used to try to do that there too. Big Bill! It never worked because Xander would always double check, so we're good. That's right, man. Woo! Hey, Howie's a plagiarist. Look at this. That's right. Banner's been gone since 14. He sure has. The way, if I'm not mistaken, the interview I heard, the reason you won the 2017 Super Bowl was not because of Howie Roseman. It was because of Joe Banner. That's how I heard it. How come you all want to give Howie the credit that he built that Super Bowl team? Oh, my God. Dude, I was doing this the whole time. I couldn't take notes quick enough. I couldn't take notes quick enough. I'm like, wait. So Joe Banner's the reason the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 17? He says he built that team. Why is your boy taking victory laps? So does Howie really want to take credit for this shit show? Oh, ho, ho, DFW. We're going to get into that one, too. You're the girl from high school that didn't get asked to the prom, so she gossips in a quarter alone. Gee, did you see how he sucks? Okay. It was a great interview. You have to go back and listen to Birds 365 and listen to Marcus Hayes. See, everything he just spent for $5, I didn't say. Talk to me about it. What do I have to do with it? What do I have to do with a credited columnist in your market calling the owner, the GM, and the quarterback out this morning? Let me tell you this, folks. Marcus Hayes could never put that interview on IP or 97.5. Is that it? Whatever it is. Could never have. Bro, the Fanatic, you could probably put that on. You could never put that interview on. Oh my God, Bob Lang would be on a broom if that thing was on IP. Shit, they can't even have a conversation with ESP and Deshaun Jackson asking for an apology. Are you crazy? Something like that where he went all in, knee deep on everyone. I'm not overcooking this. Every time he opened his mouth, and the questions were great. Every time he opened his mouth, it was an indictment. I thought John McMullen was going to have a seizure there. Some of the shit he was saying. Well, I haven't even got to Hurts yet. Because he made the greatest comment about Jalen Hurts that is so true. And get this, there is no doubt, it's true about him. Big Sills equals BS. I didn't say this. I didn't say this. No one listens to Marcus Hayes? That's not true. You say all you guys want. Say all you want. By the way, get mad at me. What do you get mad at me for? I'm going to admit it to you. This is not my content. This is not my content. Why are you mad at me? He works for the Inquirer. What are you mad at me for? Oh, I know why. Because when I say it too, it will resonate. Always does. Can't wait to get Gary Cobb on too. And Xander will be on at 3:30. I can't wait to hear what he heard. I couldn't believe it. Mad? Why would I be mad? It's validation and vindication for a guy that's been in the market like 35 years on all the shit that I've been saying. Dude, he doesn't have a very high opinion of Nick. I don't think he's got a high opinion of Hurts. I think he's got kind of a lukewarm opinion of Howie. Some of the things that we talk about with great contract negotiations and all that other shit that he does with cap management, absolutely. But when it comes to personnel, I'm with Marcus. He blows. And then the owner. Oh, this guy was in rare form today. This guy was in rare form. I have to bring this one up now. This is the best comment I've ever heard on Jalen Hurts. Where is this? I want to get it right. And I want to make sure I get this absolutely right. Here it is. Oh, my God. You can't have more of a truer statement than what Marcus Hayes said today on Birds 365 about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not going to lose games because of talent. He's going to lose games because he's not a great quarterback. That is it. It means he's going to win a lot of games. Like Lamar. But they're just not great quarterbacks. That's what I heard. Jalen Hurts can't be the reason the Eagles lose games, and he was a year ago. Marcus Hayes. Started talking about goaltending and NHL and how they pull. I remember when what's his name? The coach of the Flyers pulled Howie Bullen. And I remember when he pulled Howie Bullen, who had just won the Stanley Cup the year before, and put someone else in. And John Tortorella went, the guy's not playing well. He said that guy should have been benched last year. Like I said, there were times you could have benched him. You could have benched him. Jalen Hurts is not going to lose games because of talent. Hurts is going to lose games because he's not a good quarterback. Signed, little bit of paraphrasing, Sills, Marcus Hayes, Philadelphia Inquirer. Great. Oh, and here, now let's bring Roseman and Associates into this. You know why they don't bench Hurts? Why do you think they don't bench Hurts, or why do you think they don't get in his ass? And why do you think they allow insubordination from that player? Why do you think that? Oh, this was brilliant. This guy's brilliant. Brilliant. Why do you think? Well, Wishbone Hurts will be fine. Here's why. Ooh, how he's taking victory laps about this guy. This is his guy. This is his guy. Yeah. See, I know all the time this guy would be a franchise quarterback. And he is a franchise quarterback. That's why they rushed to judgment giving him the money when I told you they shouldn't have. I agree with Marcus Hayes' look at Hurts and completely subscribe to it. He's a really great athlete, like Xander said last week. But there's a reason Purdy's a better quarterback. Knows how to utilize his weapons. All of them. All the receivers, the running back, the tight end, the play calling head coach knows that too. That's why when they had a guy in there like Trey Lance, he couldn't do it. They got rid of him. This guy was like the third pick. Or they gave up 3 first-rounders for his ass. It's unbelievable. Holy cow. What a, hey, I think, because I told Xander, this is unbelievable. I don't think he really thought, I mean, you can pick everything that he says out of that and listen to it and go, yeah, man, that's exactly what I saw. Remember, guys, here on June 3rd, this is not my content. I'm taking content from our network. I rarely do that. It was incredible. Incredible. He embraces insubordination. AJ Owens / Brown and Hurts changed Brian Johnson's plays last year, according to Marcus Hayes, and it was notable in the Seattle game. And then, paraphrasing this, when Nick tried to make a comment, Owens threw him under the bus not knowing it. I thought it was something else he said that was totally what I've been telling you, that guy's a fucking liar. The same thing that Marcus Hayes sees that I see in him. His very first press conference about seeing tape on Wentz and him lying about it. If you'll lie about something so innocuous of that, you'll lie about anything. He's a liar. When he gets in front of a microphone, half of it is half truths. That's why the best guys that say shit are Belichick on the Cincinnati. Coach, what happened? What happened in the game against the Chiefs at Arrowhead? Got to coach better, got to play better. We got to move on now. Cincinnati's coming up, and we got to get prepared. Yeah, but coach, you think you're making a quarterback? We're on to Cincinnati. Instead, you get some fairy tale or some fable lie from your coach. Fredo Sirianni kept his job. You know why? Because he's a phenomenal liar, not coach. Here, take this for what I just said, though. I think the players, to a point, and I think Nick thinks he's doing them a solid for lying for him and covering for him. I don't think it's out of malice. Like, I don't think Nick is just some asshole going up there lying just to lie, to bring up some sort of fable. And I think he's doing it to cover for his guy, so he'll just say anything. That's actually coming from a good place. But at the end of the day, when you get so caught up in it, on a Tuesday, you're telling everybody how great the coaches are in your building, and then on Friday, you're firing them. Or you're telling me some fable story about Seattle, or you're telling me some lie on your very first press conference about the Wentz. This guy's been lying since he got here. How in the world are you going to not look at this and go, that guy's not qualified to be the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they win in spite of him? How are you not saying that? How is that not the main headline in your newspapers and across the damn market, that Nick Sirianni is not qualified to be the head coach? Been to 3 playoffs, been to a Super Bowl in spite of you. In spite of you. You know why I think they called Bill Belichick? Because they wanted to get some goddamn authority in the building to hold people accountable. This guy's a bona fide liar. This thing will never look like 22, like I said 2 years ago, ever again. I don't give a shit if you bring back Tom Brady. I don't care. Mad? Are you kidding, senor? Now we know why and what happened. Coach is a certified liar. The organization kept him because he's a great liar. Lord doesn't want to be wrong in the hiring of Sirianni. And by the way, not my content. Whoa, Eagle fan. This ain't my content. What are you talking about? I didn't say this. I'm echoing it. This is somebody that covers your team for the last 4 decades. What are you mad at me for? You mad at me for listening to a guy who covers your team for 4 decades? What are you mad at me for? If the Eagles had Belichick, would anything change? Entire power structure would change. There'd be no Howie. By the way, I'm going to say something else about Roseman here. DFW, the Eagle fans should be at the NovaCare Center demanding Sirianni should be fired. Sirianni's about to sabotage the whole season. You mean like he did last year? Underdog, thank you, my friend. Here's something else. Because this is Marcus Hayes. Because Howie is so up the coach's ass, that's me, because he's so involved, it puts an even bigger target on him when this thing implodes. He's involved with the hiring of the coaches, the firing of the coaches, the game plan. Howie Roseman is just as much of account, and he's never taken account for that fuck up last year. And it's a prime reflection. Guess what? The Eagles are a reflection of Howie and Jalen. You know why Jalen doesn't take accountability? Howie doesn't. Still crying about that? No. See, look at Twiz here. No, you haven't addressed the issue. You think you can fix it by drafting a guy in the first round from Toledo. This is far deeper than an Iowa DB and a cornerback from Toledo. This is far deeper. Now, John McMullen brought a great comment up, and it was a perfect way to balance the seesaw. Have fans and the media and people set too high a standard in Philly? I actually think it's an asshole question, but it's a great question. Well, what standard should you set? 10-1? It's a super question by John, but it's a common sense. It's a common sense answer. No. Calvin, look at Calvin here. Put that up here. Sills, you're just a hater. Stop hating. This ain't my content. Why are you mad at me? My God almighty. I'm almost going off a transcript. And you're mad at me for a guy that's been covering your football team for 4 decades? Why are you mad at me? I'm echoing it? Oh, yeah, okay. And you know why I'm echoing it? Because it's validating what I said about your organization and why you're right here. Right here. You're right here. You are a frustrating organization. Gloating? What would you say? I don't care. You think my content dictates likes? I totally don't give a shit. I ask you because this is our show. You can disagree, but you're mad at me for echoing a sports writer's column and takes this morning. Why? Why are you mad at me? LJ goes, you have no content. This is Marcus Hayes' content. This has been my content for 3 years. He just said it this morning and in a column. I don't think I've changed at all. Have I? I just took what he said today on our network and in his column and validated what I've been saying all year. Our front office is frustrating at times. It's just facts. Carl, that's the point, Carl. You're right. You're so good at what you do. And there's a lot of great things that you do. Dan, you're full of shit. How am I full of shit when this is some other guy's words? You, Dennis, you actually get, it's par for the course for people in our country today to get mad at people for sticking to their guns on something when people kept telling you that 6 feet was stupid and masks were stupid. Try to have a mind of your own. Might get you somewhere. Just a helpful hint. Or when someone has an opinion, you don't shut them down. You have dialogue like we have here. Someone has a dissenting view. They're calling anarchy. Well, I have a different view on Hurts. Dan, you're taking someone else's opinions and try to make them look like they're facts. They are facts. Nick has lied. And there's no question that's how he runs the organization. I don't think there's any lies in what he's saying. And what's in his best interest to lie? And by the way, if he was lying, why haven't the Eagles taken his press credential away? They're notorious for that. They threaten me every day, and they threaten other people that I work with every day about taking their key fob away. Why haven't they taken his if he's lying? I disagree with the Jalen Carter being a bust. I do. I disagree with that. I'm not anywhere near that. But he does bring a point up. Since the Super Bowl, what have the records been since the Super Bowl? What have the records been? Doug had like a 9-win season the year after the Super Bowl. Wasn't there like a 9-win season? Then you guys, I think, went 7-9 or something like that. Then there was a 4-win season. Then Sirianni had 9. Then you had 22. Then the 23 thing. And here you are. So what was it? Since the Super Bowl, 4 or 6 years have been underwhelming? Making the postseason. Congratulations for doing your job. You don't get pats on the back for making the postseason. Coaches get fired who don't. Why should you get credit for making them? You want to sound like the Steelers, like Xander said? So the Steelers have lowered their bar. I happen to agree with him on that Mike Tomlin comment. I mean, are you okay with, since the Super Bowl, on how the team, they've gotten to a Super Bowl in 22, granted. How do you think the years have, you think they've under or overachieved since Super Bowl, since they won a Super Bowl? Have the Eagles over or underachieved? What do you think? Neil says under. You guys don't want to answer that? Cosmo, underachieved. Flexing, under. Why is it Howie season then? Why is it Howie season? If you make the playoffs, the standard should be to win the whole thing. That's the bar. That's why several of those coaches have gotten fired. Lots of green lens glasses. More mofos in here. Nick is just a middleman from Howie to the locker room. Definitely under. You're supposed to have 2 Super Bowl. That's right. You're supposed, get this, with good coaching and non-meddling, you should have 2 Super Bowl championships in the last 6 years. You've let opportunity slip away at every corner. Doug, 22. Look at the 2 things that you let slip through your fingers. Doug and 22. Those are huge things, dude. Those are huge things. Just to allow, maybe Shane Steichen. Maybe Shane. Now, Marcus Hayes is not a big fan, I don't think, of Shane Steichen. I don't think, I mean, again, and he said something, if I can remember right, it was more, I don't really get it. You know, I'm still trying to figure that out. What do you call them? Spaghetti without sauce? But that's how I think that he connected with Hurts. He didn't make it complicated. When you have a passing offense, it's complicated. They complicated it. Hurts changed the play. It wasn't the coordinator, Brian Johnson, last year. According to Marcus Hayes, it was Hurts. I happen to think so too. You can't have everyone having success but the quarterback. What did the quarterback? The quarterback's never taken accountability or stood up for Brian. Thought it was his boy, or even his head coach he's never stood up for. He doesn't have to. Why? Because he's a reflection of the GM, not the coach. That's why. Dak Prescott's a reflection of Jerry Jones, not Mike McCarthy. Brock Purdy's a reflection of Kyle Shanahan's play calling. Jordan Love is not the reflection of Brian Gutekunst. It's Matt LaFleur. According to Sills, Jalen Hurts should have audible out of all. I didn't say any of that. According to Sills, Jalen Hurts should have audible out of all calls last year. Now listening to Marcus Hayes, senor, he did. And it's his fault. He did majority of the time. So if you're not going on script and you're not following the game plan, who's that on? The coordinator or the quarterback? Thank you, senor. I appreciate that. Ooh, senor bringing some strong takes to the table. Whoa! Way to go, senor. Way to add to the fire there. Now we know why that game plan sucked. Quarterback thought he knew better. That's what Marcus Hayes was hinting to. Both receivers got brand new shiny deals. Mulata got a brand new extension. Landon got one. Swift got a brand new $10 million deal in Chicago. Damn. Everyone had a great year with Brian Johnson. I kept asking you all that question. How come those guys all did really well to get pay raises and the quarterback blew? Because the quarterback wasn't following procedures and following the game plan. Total makes sense. That's why I didn't back him. Because those decisions were his. Because he thought in 22, when he was making those decisions off the RPO, he knew better in 23. That implosion has more to do with him than Brian Johnson. Sorry, I'm completely 1,000% on that. It's more to do with Hurts than Brian Johnson. And you can disagree with me. I don't care. Everyone had a great season because they didn't listen to Brian Johnson. Oh. So let's take that for what Senor just said. So when the coaches were putting game plans together, everyone had a great season. So when the game plan was installed on Saturday, no one followed the game plan on Sunday. Huh. Sounds like you got a really good-looking frat house going on there, kid. Wow. So they weren't listening to the coaches because they thought the coaches were better, and yet they had the 1-6 meltdown. Wasn't the coaches then. So you just exonerated the coaches. It was the players. They didn't want to listen. Is that what you're saying? Now we know. Thank you, senor. How about this one? Let's go here with this. You think Jalen Hurts has regressed as a player? Try to be honest. He's blown at OTAs. Oh, it's not a big deal. That's the point also. It's not supposed to be a big deal. That's not supposed to be a big deal. Des goes, no, he's still developing. He's still developing, and you gave him $50 fucking million for a still developing guy? Good night. Why? Because Howie wanted to pay him because that's his boy? So Jalen Hurts is regressing. Why? Just like everyone else that can't read defenses. It catches up like it did with Hurts or Wentz. They figure you out. That's what's happened. Get this. Guy goes, we're talking about practice. We're talking about practice, games, all of it. How about this? The last 8 games. Now going through OTAs and you're hearing people say struggling in progression reading. You really believe Kellen Moore's fixing this? I'm hating on commenting on somebody in the way that they had a conversation this morning here on Birds 365. Get this. Once again, OTAs are not supposed to be a big deal. Lift weights, throw the ball around, install some shit. You're not supposed to suck. Nobody sucks at OTAs. You know what OTAs are? It's like playing Nerf football in your backyard. And here's the problem. They're overcooking all three of the quarterbacks. Supposedly, all three look terrible. Here's something else, too, that I love what Marcus said. By the way, Xander is coming on at 3:30. He was there for this interview. I thought it was great. One of the better interviews we've had on this network. Get this. I think John McMullen even brought it in. And then I think Marcus kind of accentuated it. So the only coaches that they have changed on the offensive side have been the quarterback coach and the coordinator. Is that correct? So the rest of the coaches, running back, coordinator, O-line, I'm not getting rid of Stoutland. I'm not saying that. Wide receiver, tight end. All those other coaches that are on that offensive side of the ball are all status quo. So you got two coaches in a building and in a room with guys who do things a certain way. You really think they're going to come out of the reservation and do shit differently than what they did a year ago? You're out of your mind. Coaches like Kellen Moore, who just got fired in Los Angeles, is not going to walk in and go, well, we're going to change the entire approach. You're basically being parachuted in to a situation that's the same as it was last January or this past January, December. You got the same guys. You really think when you hire a brand new, he's not even a boss. You hired a guy and you've got two dudes over here and you got seven over here, all having their ways of doing shit in the Eagle organization. And two guys over here, and these two guys are going to contradict the way you guys do business. You really believe that? Get this. That's great, Jen. Hate that our fan base, on one hand, will say a guy looks great in OTAs like Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and those guys. But when Hurts sucks, it's not a big deal. It's standard. It's a standard way of covering for one's ass. Jen, it's human nature, actually. Sales, is it true that they're saying that Hurts is uncomfortable with Pickett there? No, I have not heard that. I'm not going down there. Okay. I have not heard any of that. I doubt it. I mean, you got 50 million. Hey, dude, when you got 50 million bucks in your bank account now and you're making 50 million, I don't care who you bring in. I mean, I got a lot of money coming my way. Sills tends to drag a point rather than necessary. What? I've brought 10 up. What are you talking about? I'm talking about your head coach. Here, let me go over him again. That's a good point. Thank you, Prince. Because it's not one fucking point, jackass. You're only hearing what you want to hear. Love you, Prince. The coach embraces insubordination. Howie's not going to let Hurts fail because he crows about that being his pick. Okay? The way the owner looks at the organization, in his opinion, the reason he kept Nick was because Nick is a great liar. Listen to the interview. By the way, that's how I heard it. Where guys been in locker rooms, talked to coaches for 30 years. Seals, they just do not like reality. And you do not kiss their ass. SIP 41, you and I have gone back and forth numerous times. That's all this is. It's how I heard that interview. You may not have heard it that way because some of you have never been in. Bro, you're just an effing troll. It's not my content. Okay? Troll? Troll what? The truth? Okay. I don't have a problem trolling the truth. Damn right. Are there any positive points, Sills, honestly? Yeah, this nightmare will be over soon. Yeah. You're never going to reach the potential of Jalen Hurts and the football team until you get an authority figure in there. Somebody that puts their foot down. Negativity, energy is real. Well, that's what usually happens when you implode like that. You guys have, like even Marcus said this to either Xander or to John. Somebody had amnesia last year. Somebody had amnesia. And what happened? I was like, that's what I say. Somebody had amnesia. And you lose Kelsey and Fletcher Cox in the process, and you're better because you drafted a guy from Houston Christian. And you got rid of Reddick. Laurie will know when to boot Nick. Chances are he already told him. Kids always love the babysitter that lets them do whatever they want. That's a great, he's a substitute teacher, DFW. You see, DFW, Nick Sirianni is the substitute teacher for Doug Peterson. That's who he is. He's the substitute teacher. It's funny. Organization never in a million years ever brought the kind of talent or paid for the talent when Doug was here. They never did any of that. Why? Because they didn't have to. Because they didn't have to. You had Jim Schwartz, like I said, who was named the NFL Assistant Coach of the Year a year ago, and Doug Peterson, who's doing marvelous things in Shittsville, in an organization that does not win. Can you imagine if he was in Green Bay or LA or a place that had a culture in winning instead of Shittsville, Florida? That's right. Doug didn't want to wear knee pads. All kidding aside, 5 ways you'd personally fix this. Excellent. Hey, Furman, ask yourself the most important thing. Does the owner want to fix it? Does he enjoy being what the Eagles are right? Hey, let me ask you, that's a great Furman. Do you think Jeffrey Lurie enjoys the current status of the Eagles? You think he enjoys it? Best team in the NFC East. One of the better teams in the NFC, for sure. Hey, I personally think that Marcus Hayes' assessment of Hurts is right on. Right on. You're not going to lose games because of Jalen Hurts' talent. You're going to lose games because he's not a real good quarterback. Seals, both the Eagles' Super Bowl appearances came after they ranked in the top 5 in rushing. Nick and Howie are the problem. Jalen has to be better. Agreed, Prince. Prince. Again, Prince, I want you, Prince, do me a favor. Guys, please hit the like button. Xander's going to join us in a couple minutes at the bottom of the hour here. Prince, please. Once again, you're right here. Here's my problem. Prince, you're right here. To be clear, if you don't see me a check by name, it's not me. Mark, thank you, my friend. Mark, they're trying to get you some help. Mark, they're trying to get you some help in Dallas because they don't want to get you. Hey, they're trying to get you some help, brother. Hey, Mark, just for everything here, make sure you tell everybody in Dallas, man. R.I.P. on Larry Allen, the greatest offensive lineman that ever lived. Greatest O-lineman I've ever seen. And it's not close. Okay? It's not close. The people's champ, Big Sileo, no fear or favor. Make them sweat at NovaCare Complex. Philly, make them sweat? You deserve to make them sweat. They should not. Xander, you know what Xander said too, which was great? Why'd they bring him back? You know what? It's the simplest question that it's the most difficult question to answer in that building. And you know what? No one will consistently ask that simple Xander Krause question. Why'd you bring him back? What's the point of this? What's the exercise here? Being right? That's what Marcus's take is. The owner doesn't want to be wrong, like he was with Chip. This goes, Xander said something about collateral damage from Chip. I think I think it's more to do with Doug, being wrong with Doug than being wrong. See, look, think about this, for instance. The last 2 head football coaches, the owner's been wrong. He was wrong on Chip, and he was wrong on Doug. He can't be wrong on this. You were wrong to hire him. By the way, couple 10 double-digit seasons first year. He's been wrong on 3 of the most important things you can do up till June 3rd right now. You ready for this? He was wrong on the extension for Wentz. He was wrong on the hiring of Chip. And he's wrong in the firing of Doug. Do you happen to think that those are critical mistakes that could be the difference between you winning 22 and not? How about this? Do you think you have stability in your organization right now? You think you have stability in the front office? Surely not in coaching. How about this? All the things that people say about the job that Nick has done in the playoffs. Why is he a conversation of debate consistently on keeping his job? He's already going into this year as one of the coaches on the hot seat. How can that be if he's so successful? Because they don't value him, except for one critical thing. He's a great liar. What else do we have here? God, there's so much more. I mean, just the fact of Hurts regressing is not being addressed enough. And you guys think Kellen Moore's going to fix that? In 3 months. In 3 months. Hey, watch this. How about this one? What if Jaden Daniels, under the direction of Brian Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury, win a division? And Cliff gets the Buffalo Bills job. Brian Johnson goes up to Buffalo, becomes the offensive coordinator up there with Cliff. Hey, you don't think that that's just by coincidence that Cliff Kingsbury hired him as his quarterback coach in D.C.? That wasn't a Dan Quinn hire. That was a Cliff Kingsbury hire. He had total autonomy on his coaching staff and wanted the changes. Now we know why Kingsbury didn't get the OC gig. Because there's only 2 new coaches in the offensive side of the room. He wanted sweeping changes like he did in D.C. But Nick goes like, look at this. Brian Johnson's a bum. Stop it. Then why is Jalen changing plays? So much so the team sucked. If that guy sucked, and according to what Marcus said, that those guys were going off script, and it was just not the Seattle game, the indictment of the complete collapse is more on the players. And that his take is that's more on the players than it was on the coaches. And he actually even said, like I said, Brian Johnson never got a fair shot. Tell me this. How many people think that Sean Desai had a fair shot when he's 10-2 and had beaten all those great quarterbacks that you guys bring up? The Josh Allens, all them guys, Mahomes. You think he had a fair shot? That was some interview. That was some interview. Endorses insubordination. And why this is important, this conversation. Status quo. Remember what I told you at the end of the season? You were either going to do a course change or you were going to do status quo. What they did was they modified their plan. Mandatory mini camps. First one in the Sirianni era. Do you know what that's about? Why do you think for the first time in going into his 4th year that Sirianni has a mandatory mini camp? Why? Because he's got to somehow show some type of phony authority? It's too late. It's too late. You've already showed your hand. They know who you are. You can't put the toothpaste back in The toothpaste jar. You can't. It's out. You're saying that because he got on your neck for crazy people need to see through your hating. I'll get a translator and figure what the hell you're talking about. Hey, Sills. If Belichick is so great, why hasn't team offered him a job? Once again, Sean not knowing. Why would I take a job, Sean, when I'm making for the next 2 years $20 million a year from New England? And if I don't get everything what I want, why would I take a lesser job with lesser talent, more lifting, and I could play golf all week long, making more money than you'll pay me? Why would I do that? Why would I burn $40 million to go to work for $8 million? Why would I do that? He hasn't received a job offer. He's making $20 million a year for the next 2 years in New England. Why would I take the shitty Falcons job? For what? To go 4-13? Yeah. Hey, sign me up. He loves coaching, right? I pretty much think he loves coaching, but I think he loves those greenbacks going in on direct deposit. Venmo, Xander, Venmo. Holy cow. I'll tell you something, man. Before I bring Xander on, Gary Cobb, 4:30 Eastern, too. We're going to ask him the same shit that I'm going to ask Xander here. Because I can't believe what I've been listening to. I kept doing this. Oh, my God. He just killed the owner, the GM, the coach, and the quarterback within a matter of like 25 minutes. He crushed everybody, and he was doing it this way. You know, with the soliloquy way of thinking about how they run this organization, I was going like, I have to get my thesaurus up and look up some of these words that Marcus Hayes was using. Let's bring Xander in. The co-host of Birds 365 did a great job today.
What's up, Phil?
Woo!
I knew you were going to love that. I'm listening to him. I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to be reliving this interview later on today.
Oof. Give me your quick takeaway.
I love it. I like it because it makes me think. It's like June 3rd. It's been a lot of everybody's all, excited about the things going on, excited about the draft, the signings, the OTAs. And then I get Marcus Hayes comes in out of the blue, and he's like, Howie's on the hot seat. Jalen Hurts stinks and regressed. Jeffrey Lurie's this. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, and I like thinking. I'm in content business, Sileo, so I can appreciate somebody that comes on, means what he says and says what he means. And whether I agree with it all or not, that's a different story. But he definitely has some good points. I got to give it to him. I mean, he's got some good, compelling points. Some stuff I think is blatantly wrong. I got to be honest. The Jalen Carter is a bust. Come on, man. Like, even that Jalen Carter, I mean, maybe he needs to be better still. He needs to improve. But Jalen Carter is not a bust. But I will say, there are some things that Howie's done that got you questioning it for sure.
How about this one? Jalen losing games will not be because of talent.
Yeah, it was good.
It's going to be because he's just not really that great a quarterback.
Well, I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I mean, I think he was a good quarterback in 22 and went to the Super Bowl. I think he was not a good quarterback down the stretch last year, which is why any great quarterback should be able to turn around a 1-7 stretch. I don't care how bad of a team you are, right? So I think last year, Jalen Hurts wasn't a good quarterback. And that's where I pointed to Marcus being correct, where if Jalen Hurts is not going to have a bounce back year, that's going to put a big bullseye on Howie's back, because how are you going to pay $175 million to an offense? You're going to give him a new coordinator because you scapegoated the last one. And he's not going to perform for a second straight year. That's alarming. Now, I don't think we're going to get to that point, but we certainly are close.
How about when he said that Nick Sirianni embraces insubordination? That when players, it was more the players going off script that the coaches and Brian Johnson and those guys were putting a game plan together, and that the players were improvisating out there and they were going off script. And he said this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Xander, he said it wasn't just the Seattle instance. It was Jets. It was other
there was
places
multiple
where they went off script. And am I right when I took this? I took it as he said he blamed more of the players' accountability down that stretch than he did coaching.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what we've been talking about in just our couple interviews where to me, it feels like Nick is kind of not the adult on the sideline. And Marcus used that analogy this morning, and I thought that was right on. It's like a parent who hasn't disciplined their kids. Like they're just kind of doing whatever they want out there. And I wonder if part of that's just the lack of respect that they have for him as a coach, the coordinators, the whole 9 yards. And that's where, I'm much higher on this team than you are, or even Marcus Hayes is. But the coaching staff is the one thing I'm struggling with. Nick Sirianni specifically is the one guy I'm struggling with. And I asked Marcus, I'm like, why the hell did they keep this dude? I mean, everything you said is everything Marcus said about Nick Sirianni, I thought was accurate. You don't have to agree with it, but it was accurate. It was true. So that's my question of what. And then his response was great. It's because the owner doesn't want to be wrong. I don't think it has anything to do with football.
Don't you agree that the biggest mistake since your Super Bowl, and by the way, I got to give it to Marcus for having such a high bar too,
Wait,
Xander.
Let me fix my camera, Sileo. 1 second.
All right.
I don't know what's going on.
He had such a high bar because he was going from the Super Bowl, and he goes, and he was looking at it, and he was saying this, Xander, since the Super Bowl, I mean, 4 of the last 6 seasons have been underwhelming. And
yeah, I don't agree with that though.
Yeah, but wait, you brought the thing up about the Steelers now just making it to the postseason is like a deal. So let me add.
Oh yeah, we are coming off a Super Bowl. We did go back to the Super Bowl. Let me add on
to it though. Are the expectations too high?
Yeah, and that's John's point. Like John said that to him. He's like, well, they did kind of make the playoffs like all of those years, which they did, besides the 4-win season, which was the last season of Doug's tenure. But we won a Super Bowl. We went to a Super Bowl. We went back to it. We won a Super Bowl. We went back to a Super Bowl. Like, we're not the Steelers. So I agree. You're right. We need to have high expectations, but I do think part of that is where Marcus is saying like they've underachieved, and maybe they have by Lurie standards. They might have. And one of the things I think, another reason I think that Howie isn't going anywhere, regardless of what Marcus Hayes writes or what you think or what anybody said, I think, and I asked him the question, and he I don't want to say brushed it off, but he said he didn't think that was the reason. I worded it as scar tissue from Chip Kelly, and I would reword that now and say, do you think it's like, have you ever heard where it's like, pick your bad, like you're doing a project around the house and it's like, okay, there's going to be something wrong with it. Just pick what you want to be wrong with it.
Right.
I think he's like, I will choose going to the playoffs,
pick your battle,
making splashes every year in free agency, being the talk of the league, being competitive in the NFC, and sticking with Howie, because I know I'm going to get that. Howie's shown I'm going to get that for the last 8 to 10 years over the risk that is associated with putting Howie back in the broom closet, or in this case, getting rid of Howie and giving it to somebody else. I don't think Jeffrey Lurie wants to go down that route. I really don't. And you could argue maybe that you should have higher expectations or that you should push harder for greater success. But
Howie puts a bigger target on his back by being more involved in play calling, hiring of coaches, game plan, talent evaluation, pro personnel. This dude, Jalen Hurts, is not a reflection of the coach. He's a reflection of Howie. It's why, don't you find it weird? Jalen has never been accountable for any way for Brian Johnson's firing or the meltdown, and Howie refuses to answer any questions about it. Those two guys are in sync. The head coach and the quarterback are not in sync. There's your problem in the building.
Do you think Howie Roseman has anything to do with play calling? I don't.
Here, I think according to Frank Reich, the analytics guys upstairs put all the analytics and all the information together for the coaches to put a game plan together. So once again, Xander, do I think they're putting it like this, like the coaches play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 3rd and 8? No. But do I think that they're putting all the situational statistics together?
They're like giving them a list of plays.
That's what they do.
They're like giving them a list to pick from.
They're giving them a list of plays to put in the game plan. Is that not involved in a game plan?
Yeah, no, it is. If that's true, I would argue that that's a big problem. But
that was Doug's problem.
You know what, Dan? I think that if that's true, I think it's over Howie. I think it's Lurie. Jeffrey Lurie is an analytics guy. He would be the guy that would advocate for the hiring of all those analytics guys. And if they're going to implement that into what play calls your NFL head coaches, who are the guys who are supposed to be the football guys in the room, the best football guys in the room, I think that would come from higher than Howie Roseman. But I don't know. It's tough because like part of me is like the Eagles have underachieved on this hand because one Super Bowl in 50-something years is not great. The other part of me is like my entire memory of since I was a child, the Eagles have been good to some extent. Not great every year, but you know, we've had a lot of good teams, a lot of wins, a lot of playoffs, a lot of NFC East. Yeah, and it's all so it's like, all right, if you have to factor in that you're not going to win a Super Bowl every year, how good are the Eagles doing? It's tough for me to be overly critical of them, but I do think there's a lot of knocks on them. And I think you and I think Marcus Hayes are two of the best at pointing them out.
How about the point that he brought up? And I think either you or John or Marcus brought this up today. So the new coaching staff has only 2 new faces.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, the new coordinators. Yeah. John brought that up. John sees that as a big dilemma.
So you got 2 dudes over here and all of Nick's guys and Howie's guys over here. You don't think
so
those guys are on an island by themselves?
Yeah, Kellen brought in him and Doug Nussmeier as the quarterback. He's getting a little bit of flack because Tanner McKee is now looking like crap. It's like, I don't know what happened to Tanner McKee other than the new quarterback coach.
Who cares?
Who cares? But the guy came in and could throw a football. All of a sudden,
I get it.
He's struggling with not being able to throw a football. No, but it is weird because, and I said this to Marcus again at the end, where I'm like, if the offense succeeds, it's one of the things you've been talking about. Are they going to shoo Kellen in there, or are they going to just get back on the hamster wheel, turn over the offensive staff, put it back in Nick Sirianni's arms? Now, I do think there's, could this make Nick better as a head coach? Dealing with different coordinators, is there, how many coordinators did Belichick go through? I don't even know. I'm just asking.
Let me think. Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniel.
Not that many, right?
Charlie Weiss. But those guys were all with him in New York with Parcells. I mean, see, you got to remember something. The relationship that he had, Nick doesn't have that because he's not been a coach that long. He's only been a position coach. So when he brings in Charlie Weiss or Romeo Cornell or them guys, they were in New York with him. You know what I mean? Under Parcells, so they were there 12, 13 years already. So I think Nick's inexperience also. Dude, I just think that guy is – what about the lies that Marcus brought up? First press conference he has. You ever see – no, I didn't see none of it. And you're like, I mean, and then the thing in Seattle with the fable fairy tale, and then all the shit about the coordinators on Monday and then firing them on Tuesday. That guy's got a credibility issue.
Yeah. I mean, he does if he's lying, but that's what they do. I mean, they're not under oath. They're not going to sit there and tell the truth just because a reporter wants them to tell the truth. They're under no obligation.
Don't say anything then.
Well, are you talking about Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's Nick. That's one of Nick's biggest things. And I think he's going to learn that. Like, dude, just shut up sometimes. Like, just be quiet. You don't need to go in there and tell them why you ran a play on 3rd and 8. I don't care. Just keep it to yourself. That's Andy Reid. That's Bill Belichick. Shut the hell up for 20 straight years. You don't give the media anything ever. Nick learned the hard way. Yeah.
Xander, feed him shit.
Yeah. Nick learned the hard way on that one.
Do you think Jalen Hurts has regressed?
Last year, yeah, definitely. I mean,
No.
he was.
Do you think he's regressed? Who he is right now?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because I think he can get back to what he was. But if you're going strictly off 23, he was certainly a lesser
body of work.
Yeah, well, that was. I will say this: that was the first time ever in Jalen Hurts' adult career, college included, that he took a step backwards. He got better year 1 to year 2 from year 1 in Alabama. He got better when he went to Oklahoma. He started off I wouldn't say slow. He started off fine in the NFL, won 9 games his first year starting, got significantly better year after year. 4th year, he finally took a step back. I don't know. Can we look at it like a stock? It goes, ooh, dip, goes back up. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I don't think he's going to take a permanent regression. Do you?
I think he's getting more exposed at his faults and weaknesses that he has in his game. And I don't think he can get himself out of it. I don't think he's that talented as a passer to be able to pass his way out of trouble. I do not. Definitely. I think the way they're coaching him right now, like I said to you, the way they're coaching away from his skill set, I think they're doing everything they possibly can to mismanage this situation like they did the Wentz situation. They're mismanaging it, and you can see it already. And then when you're hearing people like Marcus say, well, you got guys changing plays because he thought he knew better because he had such a great 22. He took the role that I don't like that play. Well, you're part of the problem now, even more so now that somebody like that who's around a team for 4 decades is sitting there saying that it was more on him, the quarterback, and the offensive direction than it was on Brian Johnson. Isn't it? Like I said, and this is one of the reasons in the conflicts of this, Xander, everyone on the team, the offense, had a career year but the quarterback. And the quarterback is being called out by one of your senior writers in your city for saying that he thought he knew better. Well, he didn't.
Yeah, and I would also push back on the fact that what you just said about them botching this situation with him. I think they've done the opposite. They've never given a quarterback in the Jeffrey Lurie era more than they've given Jalen Hurts.
I think we're saying the same thing here, though, but they're not coaching him right to his skill set.
Yeah, maybe not. But if you're a great player, you're going to figure it out when you got 2 top 10 wide receivers, a top 5 tight end, a top 5 running back, a top 5 offensive line. Like, this is why I've said, and I've said it consistently, I'll cheerlead for the Eagles when it's warranted, but it's sink or swim for Jalen Hurts. And that's what I think is going to happen with Kellen Moore. Jalen Hurts is either going to be great and he's going to take the step forward that we need him to take under Kellen Moore, or it might get exposed. And it's all on him.
I think that's what Marcus said.
The organization failed Jalen Hurts. You don't think the organization failed Jalen Hurts? Come on, man.
I think they're failing him the way they're coaching him. I said, not.
Well, no, yeah, that's a coaching staff, which I guess maybe could be from the organization.
I think it's a style they want him to play.
Yeah, then why'd you sign him? If he's not the style, if you want a passing style, then why'd you sign Jalen Hurts? Somebody else would have signed Jalen Hurts. They wouldn't be the only team that would have given him that money. Somebody just gave Baker Mayfield $40+ million. Daniel Jones got $40+ million. I don't care what style it is. Why change the guy? I would rather have Jalen Hurts at his peak, running the ball, being aggressive, being a playmaker, being what he is for 5 years, than try and turn him into something else and have him for 10.
Agreed. That's been my take for 3 years on that. I'll tell you what I really loved about.
But Dan, also to push back on Jalen, you got it in front of you, though. If you're a good quarterback, if you're a great quarterback, not even elite, if you're great. I
don't think you even have to be superstar with that talent. I think you have to be good.
If you're a great quarterback, which I think he is, prove me right. Go and take advantage of the people around you, whatever that looks like. You should be able to figure out how to make this a high-powered offense. To Howie's credit, I know we've been talking about Howie all day because of Marcus Hayes. To Howie's credit, he built a behemoth on offense. $175 million. We talked about it. I mean, this guy, it's on Jalen this year. And I like Jalen. I don't mean it in a way where I'm bashing the quarterback. But to me, this season is all about Jalen Hurts. It's all about Jalen Hurts.
So, okay, with all that being said about Hurts, then, do you believe in that line of, do you think he's closer to being so you don't think he's closer to being a one-year wonder? You think last year was just learning pains, growing pains?
I don't know what last year was. Last year was troublesome. Last year was troublesome for anybody that had two eyes and watched. And I told you, I went back and I watched that Bucs game. That was terrible. And I thought it was terrible from Jalen's part. The coaching was bad and everybody, but to me, that's a little bit of a scapegoat from people to just constantly rag on the coaches. The guys are out there playing the game. Jalen Hurts was not enthused in that game. He did not look good. He didn't feel good. He didn't play good. He didn't, I mean, the turnover, what's it called? The safety in his own zone. I mean, this is playoff football, man. You got to be ready to play, and he wasn't ready to play. So, yeah, he's got to come out and show it this year because there are a lot of fans, and I get it when fans are like, oh, still he was a hater because he chirped Jalen, and the other side of it is like, everybody's talking about Lord Brunson, the guy who makes the Hurts season hats. Like, there's that side of it too. I'm on neither side. Like, I'm a fan of the team, but my team goes as far as you're willing to take us. So if you don't step up, fans are going to be pissed. And I don't blame them.
OTAs, what are you expecting?
You mean a mini camp coming up?
The mandatory. First off, wait. Let me do this. What's your take that this is the first mandatory, I'm going to tell you who the boss is, mini camp for old Fredo?
I think it's the coordinators. But John dismissed that. He's like, it's an organizational thing. I'm like, I don't think so.
No way.
Two older coordinators get here who have experience in the league, and they're like, yeah, we're not doing this BS that you guys do in the offseason where nobody talks, nobody touches the field, nobody does anything. We need at least 3 days, at least a mandatory mini camp in June to get these guys out there. And I think it's that, but I'm fine with it. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, I think it's good. Get the players out there. I'd like them to do more, but I guess it's all managed now by the CBA.
It is.
I mean, shit, Sileo. I'm not making $50 million to sit here. I work all day, every day. These guys are making how much money to play football? Come on, man, go out there and practice.
I get it. Okay, show up to work here, man. So I mean,
no. I'm not gonna congratulate or praise you for showing up to work, doing your job.
Absolutely not going to happen here. Okay, so what do you make of Hurts blowing at all these practices and not like, I mean, not like you say. Get this. See, look at his expression on his face because he knew, and it's set up for playing catch. You're not supposed to blow. Okay? I mean, you and me can play Nerf ball in your backyard. I mean, you're not supposed to suck, Xander.
No, you're not. You're not supposed to suck at this. And yeah, we had a couple guys who were down at OTA, so it wasn't just John. We had Brandon Lee Goughton. We had Chris Franklin. Yeah, they said he didn't look great. They said it wasn't Jalen Hurts' best performance, but it was all the quarterbacks. They combined for nearly 5 interceptions. 4 interceptions, and one of them was a dropped interception by a cornerback. So I don't know, but how much stock do you put in that? Like, it's helmets and shorts.
Because I'll tell you what,
does it matter that much? Like it doesn't. Wait, here, let me ask you this: if you flip it on its head, and the report came out that Jalen Hurts was absolutely lighting up OTAs, he was completing the football all over the field. Who cares?
What would I say? Okay, great. That's your job.
Right. So he threw an interception.
Catch.
He had a bad day of practice. I mean,
Oh, I heard it was 3 bad days.
No, well, they only got to see 2, so we could never have heard it was 3. And he was okay in the first one. There was no reports that he was bad in that.
Jesus criminy.
Nah, you're fishing.
No, I'm not fishing. I'm saying this. You want me to do this. Hey, Sills, man, so what do you take out of this guy here, Quinton Mitchell, playing really well and looking really great? Hey, man, I think that's really great to see because he's getting his turns, he's getting his reads, he's understanding, and seeing AJ and Devonte, that's a good thing. And then when you turn around and go, a 4-year veteran NFL quarterback is blowing at picking up progression reading and throwing the ball in 7-on-7, it's no big deal. I mean, what is it? I mean, does it work both ways, or does it not? Or are we looking to start shit here? What are we doing here?
Well,
How
no,
can it be okay for Quinn Mitchell?
If he dominated the OTA and you wouldn't have given a crap, then I'm not going to care if he didn't do good. It doesn't matter to me. If he's not looking good all through training camp, then yeah, we got a problem. But I mean, for all we know, he could come out in week 1 and light the league on fire. Then here we are looking like dummies because we cared about what he did in helmets and shorts in June. I don't care. I mean, I agree. It's a little not great because it's built for the pass, but you know, maybe you're trying new things out there. Maybe you're forcing the ball. Devonte Smith's not out there. You're throwing to Joseph Ngata or whatever his name is.
The number 3 guy. That's your boy. That's right. I forgot. It's an upgrade. How about when Marcus said that Brian Johnson didn't get a fair shot? He didn't think.
I don't know that Brian Johnson didn't get a fair shot. I think Brian Johnson got a fine shot. I don't think he seized the opportunity, but I think at the end of the day, he was the unfortunate scapegoat. Doesn't mean he did a good job. Doesn't mean he didn't deserve to be fired, but he's who they chose to scapegoat. It was going to be Nick and the whole staff, or it was going to be Nick getting rid of his coordinators so that Nick could stay in the room. And that's how the cookie crumbled.
See this guy here. He's a stupid ass. Sills is praying for Hurts' downfall. Who in the world wants to cover Tanner McKee? Are you crazy, guy? This guy is a moving content machine. This is going to be the greatest season with that clown show of a head coach and Jalen Hurts trying to figure out whether or not he's the next coming of Josh Allen. Is going to be hilarious. He's not that good, Xander. Now, he's good when you run him. He's actually great. But if you're going to give all those runs to Saquon Barkley and you're going to run him and Hurts less, Hurts is even more predictable. And he's not going to be, I don't fear him from the pocket. I fear him in open space like I did Aaron Rodgers early in it. When Aaron Rodgers got out in open space and those defenders had to sit there and stay in their zones, he's undefendable. When Hurts, how many times did you and I do this on a Monday when we were doing the show and we'd go like this? How many times on 3rd and 11 did you think the guy was picking it up? I was like, that guy is not going to be denied. Like you said something last week that was so great, Xander. How many times a year ago were they in 3rd and long? How many times at 22 were they in 3rd and short? The entire season it seemed they were in 3rd and short. That's because the quarterback was coached differently.
Yeah, but can't the quarterback get better? Can't over the course of a career, a quarterback learns more, gets more experience, and I'm not talking about all of a sudden gets more talented. I'm talking about understands.
Sees the game better.
Sees the game, makes the right decisions, puts the ball in the window that instead of early in his career, he tucked it and ran it to the right. I think he's going to get better at that. Like that's the stuff Brady got great at. Now, Brady was always a tremendously talented quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts has tons of talent too, but I'd like to see him get better at that stuff. And it's kind of your point about him being a better quarterback. It's not about the talent. We know he's a talented dude. It's more about playing your position, playing your contract, understanding what to improve at, where to improve at it, seeing the game. It's a fast-paced game. I think if he does those things with this cast, I think it's lights out.
How about
he's got to do it, though.
How about this? I'm going to go back to the famous line of the morning. Jalen Hurts losing games is not going to be because of talent. It's going to be because he's not that great a quarterback. How about this when I'm going to add something that you broached talking to Marcus about? How can you get any kind of Tom Brady consistency when you've got a revolving door of coordinators year in and year out at that position? He'll never have consistency. You'll never see a consistent quarterback play. And get this, Xander, You're right. You know what? Get this. You know why we see three different Jalen Hurtses? Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson. Now we're going to see. No, we saw Nick Sirianni, Jalen, where you and I were going, is he going to make the year? Then he got a Shane. Then he got a Brian Johnson. Now he's going to get a new guy. How in the world are you going to get consistent play from a guy? Brady had a coordinator for 10 years.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how.
Manning had a coordinator and Tom Moore for 10 years. There's a reason those guys had consistency.
Because the coordinator cannot be the catalyst to the offense. You have Jalen Hurts, and as of now, Nick Sirianni is going to be your two constants. You need to build your offense around Jalen Hurts, and Nick Sirianni has to have his finger on the pulse of that. If you keep doing what you said, no, because hear me. No, it's not. If you hired a new coordinator for Tom Brady, he got a new coordinator when he went to Tampa Bay. They didn't all of a sudden say, let's start running the RPO with Tom Brady. No. Why are we changing systems so much, coordinator to coordinator to coordinator to coordinator? We don't need to. You need to find the system that works for the quarterback, and the coordinator needs to work within that system. It's not all about you. It's about the player you have in the room.
Here's what happened in Tampa.
I don't see why that seems to be so hard for them to do, though.
Here's what happened in Tampa. And we, like you know, we've had Bruce on the show 4 times. They were 7-5. They got beat by the Bears like on either a Thursday night game or a Monday night game. The no risk it, no biscuit, throwing deep and all the deep throws and interceptions was costing Tampa Bay. Brady went back with Byron Leftwich and said, fuck that. We're going check downs. That's when Leonard Fournette took off and Gronk took off, and everyone started taking off because they went back to the Brady way of playing football. Check down Charlie. Check down Charlie. No risk it, no biscuit was no deal. Gronk was the big catalyst. Remember, they called him Playoff Lenny. It was Brady did this. We're not doing that anymore. And guess what Bruce did? To your point, you know what? We'll compromise. And they did, and they won a Super Bowl. The Eagles front office doesn't compromise.
So who is this on? The front office? I think it's on Jalen.
It's on them not coaching him. It's on them not coaching him to his best skill set. And him not really being, he's not mature. Somebody said in the interview today, it was Marcus. He's such a young guy still. You're rushing this process of learning. How many times is Patrick Mahomes? Didn't Michael Vick, when he got to Philly, go like this? Hey, man, I've been in the league 10 years. He goes, holy shit, I didn't know anything about reading defenses until I sat around Andy Reid, and Andy Reid was showing me how to do shit. Dude, it's a constant progression of learning. And what they did was, because Howie wants to be right and take victory laps on this Hurts pick. He wants to, this is his dude. He takes complete credit for 17. I couldn't believe Marcus went, no. Joe Banner built that Super Bowl team. And Howie takes the victory laps on it.
Yeah. Is it, and I don't mean this as a knock on Jalen, but it is on Jalen, right? Like let's just assume
to an extent, but he's young.
But let's just assume the coordinator door is going to keep revolving. Like, Jalen has to set the offense. Jalen has to know exactly what he wants to do to succeed in the NFL.
According to Marcus, that's what he did last year, and that's part of the meltdown.
Yeah, but that wasn't philosophical. How I want to run an offense. That was on the cuff, on the wing plays to try and get the first down when he needed the first down. Yeah, I'm talking about, like, he needs to know. I almost want him to be coaching his coordinator when the coordinator comes, because it's like, this is what I do. This is how we have success in Philadelphia. This is this. Now, if you can come up with some great plays to accentuate that, great. If not, and you're going to put me under center and make me not Jalen Hurts, you took the wrong job.
Okay, well, here then, that's in the hiring of the assistants. The same thing they did to Randall is the same thing that they're doing to Hurts. You'll never see his full potential again. Because, hey, disciple, this is what I'll say this to that. And Marcus Hayes said it perfectly about Shane Steichen. I thought, get this, Xander, to me, that is Shane Steichen. You know what Shane Steichen is with Anthony Richardson? He is spaghetti without the sauce. You know why? He's taking a plain offense and letting the talent accentuate the game plan. He's not putting his own sauce in it. He's letting the quarterback put the sauce in it.
That's maybe why Shane was so damn successful. Everyone's
Correct.
like, he's an offensive savant, or maybe he just looks at what he has and builds around them versus saying, hey, I'm this great guru and I need to work my system. That's like what Vic said. It's on the offense, on the defensive side of the ball. That's why I like what Vic said. He's like, I need good players. Now he still has his system, but I think that's a little different, honestly. Defense,
but that was so when Marcus went like this. You know, I'm still trying to figure Shane out. He's like, spaghetti without sauce. I went. That's why Hurts was so effective in 22. It was the quarterback who has to offer the sauce.
The quarterback
you offer the spaghetti,
the piece of basil on top.
Yeah, right. He's the one that has to cook it. Shane is the guy. Shane had it so simple. Because remember how many times did I say this? That guy's not a coordinator. RPO's not really a play calling type situation. It's situational when it comes to the quarterback making decisions. Well, Jalen thought he could make decisions with that drop back in the pocket. Guess what? He couldn't. That's why the high turnovers.
Yeah, and real quick, I want to go to something on exactly that point. But that's kind of why I think it's not Jalen's at all, where it's like these coordinators are telling him what to do because of how indecisive he looks in there. And notice, like year 2 with Steichen, there's a stat, right? And we talked about this last week with Brandon Lee Gowton on Birds 365. We brought it up on here. Jalen's time to throw. Right, it was lowest in 2022 when he was an MVP candidate. Here's a stat. The Chiefs have finished top 5 in least sacks allowed every season since 2018. That's not because their offensive line.
No,
it's quarterback. That's because Patrick Mahomes is getting rid of the ball. Exactly. Jalen doesn't, and I don't. Maybe it's because he can't read a defense. Maybe, or maybe it's because he's not comfortable in the offense they're running, and that's why his default setting, because he's so gifted athletically, is to tuck the ball and run outside to the right.
Jalen Hurts
if he cuts down, though,
because of talent, he'll lose games because he's not that great of a quarterback.
Not yet. I think he can be.
Right. Not yet.
I think he can
be.
Well,
they're rushing it.
But all these stats are intertwined. Like, if Jalen can get the ball out quicker and we take less sacks, and he's more decisive on where to go with the football and when to go there, the whole offense will start working in a different way.
How about this one? Oh, Marcus, man, I think he's looking at A.J. Owens, man, and he's a little bit of a problem there. Well, the way Marcus looked at him, he thought he was a little problem.
Wait a second. You've been talking about this interview now for 2 hours of the show. You heard what he said about A.J. Brown, right?
Kind of. Yeah, well, to me,
it's kind of. Don't hit me with that. Come on, Phils.
Kind of. I heard something a little bit.
He said he could be the most talented receiver to ever touch an Eagles green uniform.
Get out. Oh, the greatest player to touch an Eagles uniform.
Wide receiver.
A.J.
Brown is that good, though. He's that good of a football player. Now, maybe he comes with other baggage. I don't really see it. Like you do. We've debated this before. I don't see the AJ baggage at all. But Marcus loves AJ.
Okay.
Marcus gave AJ all sorts of kudos. You conveniently left that out of your recap of the interview.
I didn't believe any. Hey, how about this one? Dear Devonte Smith, I have a hard time looking you in the face for your business knowledge of how you do a contract. Hey, good. I'm glad the Eagles were able to take advantage of you, but hey, Justin,
we brought up
signed for $35 million. This guy signed for 10 cents. Holy shit, dude.
I almost feel bad for Devonte because I love Devonte. Wait, so you brought up Joe Banner earlier. Did you see what he said about this?
No.
He
Tell
was
me,
on
please.
he was on WIP today. You're
Oh,
gonna
so he must have heard it.
You're gonna love this.
Please tell me.
He said Devonte Smith should fire his agent unless he told the agent to do what he wanted over the agent's advice. He needs to fire his agent because this is just a bad read.
Open my show.
Wait, you know what else drives me up a wall about this? How do you view CeeDee Lamb? No, I'm talking about tiers. Like,
I don't think. How about
there's
this?
Tiers of receivers in the NFL. Tier 1 is Justin Jefferson, I think AJ Brown, and Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams. Tier 2, I think Smith is right there with CeeDee Lamb. Like, to me, CeeDee Lamb isn't Justin Jefferson.
Okay,
CeeDee Lamb is closer to Devontae Smith to me than he is to AJ Brown.
So let's talk about this. CeeDee Lamb or Devontae, and I'm being offered one of them. Let's just hypothetically say you went with CeeDee. I'm okay with Devontae.
Right. It's a pick 'em for me, honestly.
Right, I don't care. I'll take one or the other.
That's what's going to piss me off because CeeDee's going to get the 30 plus.
Oh, he's going to get 36.
Oh, dude, that's criminal. If Jefferson got it, you're like, all right, because he is another level of receiver than Devontae.
You watch Chase get 34.
I think Devontae's right there with a lot of those dudes. Like, hey, I like Jamar Chase.
Why is he being compensated for?
I like Jamar Chase, and I'm a fan.
He's also got Joe Burrow, a little different guy throwing.
You think Jamar Chase is Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams level?
No,
I don't either.
I think Jamar Chase is Cooper Kupp. Well, something like that. Well, hey, Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp's had a good career. You're right.
Okay, Cooper.
Yeah, I think Jamar Chase is right in there with the Smitties of the world, the Waddles of the world, the Lambs of the world. I think he's right there. Tier 2.
In a matter of 6 weeks, Devonte Smith's deal's outdated already.
Yeah, why did he do this? I don't understand.
Dude, it's one thing. Hey, look, I get $5 million.
Why did he do it?
I think really, honestly, just push. He really did have to push the money aside and go, look, it's more about a quality of life where I feel like family here. It reminds me of Bama. They love me here. Listen, some guys will do this, Xander. Some guys will. Here's a great example. Greg Maddux, for instance. Greg Maddux was offered 3 times the money to go pitch in New York. But instead, he chose the quality of life in Atlanta because Atlanta didn't give him the same money the Yankees were going to give him. He's from Las Vegas. And I've talked to Greg Maddux about this. He goes, I could have made 3 times the money in New York. Yeah. But it was more about a quality of life, what I wanted. It was a comfort zone kind of thing.
Well, if that's the case,
you don't begrudge a guy for that in a way.
Exactly. If Devonte Smith knew all the variables and decided to do what he did, then I'm not going to sit here and knock him for it. It's not what I would have done. I would have maximized my ability to earn during my NFL career, but I'm not going to knock him. I'm happy we have him. I'm happy he's an Eagle. I got to be honest.
This has got nothing to do with Howie and Philly.
Yeah,
this has everything to do with his shitty agent and not making him sit back and hang in there and go like
his agent. I think he's Clutch Sports. No.
Oh God, no way. No fucking way.
Yeah, because they're not that.
Man, it's got to be his uncle who's a preacher somewhere in Alabama. It's not. It's got to be some uncle dude, man. It can't be Clutch Sports. Not a chance, man. You think Clutch would really put a guy in a position not to maximize his money?
Dude, his agent is Clutch Sports.
That's stupid.
Kelton Crenshaw. I've never heard of the agent, but that's his name. Here's the quote. I'll read it to you from Joe Banner. 1 second, let me pull it up.
Please. Dude. It's really
Joe
stupid.
Banner tweets, Devonte Smith should fire his agent unless he overruled the agent's advice. He completely misread where market was headed and signed a deal before all these deals reset the market. What was the rush? Another smart deal by Eagles, but only can happen if player and agent allow it.
Stupid.
Wait, Flexen brings up a good point. You brought up Kupp, and I kind of chirped it, but he's right. This is why I'm like,
yeah, I'll take Kupp over
Devontae. I'd probably take Cup over Lamb too.
Yeah. Yep. No, listen, Cup, Lamb, Devonte. Difference
Like I
is,
said,
those guys are $30 million guys.
I can live with Justin Jefferson getting paid that type of money because I actually
and
believe
Tyreek.
Right. And Adams and even AJ Brown.
Yeah.
But like when I watch CeeDee Lamb get that money, I'm gonna feel real bad for Devontae because I think he's right there in that tier of receiver. If remember, CeeDee Lamb is a bona fide number one where he is.
Yes.
Devonte Smith is playing under AJ Brown.
Yeah.
So he's been as productive as he's been with a number one wide receiver in front of him. One of the top 3 guys in the NFL. It's tough.
Dude.
Tough scene for Devontae.
And listen, I don't mean personally he's a stupid ass.
No, I know what you mean. I know.
But this here, man, dude, if you don't win a Super Bowl in 5 years, let's just say this, Xander. What's that deal come out to average? What was it, 18-4? Let's say this, and that over that 5-year span, he's averaging 18-4, and the rest of these guys are going to get. And get this, what really sucks is that some of these deals are 3-year deals making 35, which means they'll get re-upped again.
I know.
To go market value, because you know what the agents for those guys did? They didn't want to sign a 5-year deal. Guess what he also did? He took himself off the market for the next 5 years instead of limiting a 3-year deal. Where he get this? Do you think next year that market could be in the next 2 years $40 million annually for a wideout?
I think that's where it's going to be in another 2 years.
He's making 18. You're going to miss $20 million annually.
Well, he's not going to be a top of the market guy, but maybe you could say he's going to be a $30 million guy, $35 million guy. In 5 years. But wait, because we are leaving out an important point here. The Eagles have kind of showed that they're not going to force you to play out your contract.
They'll redo them.
Right, AJ Brown. Yeah. Nobody thought AJ Brown was about to get extended this off. Nobody. It wasn't even a talking point. It wasn't
that's because she cried and she had to get her way.
He didn't cry. That's bullshit. Howie wanted to get in front of the market. That's good GMing. That's what Howie does good. Howie said there's Jefferson.
But it's also good by the player what he did. See what the player did? The player got ahead of the market.
AJ deserves some credit.
The player got ahead of the market. And Devontae got behind the market.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I don't think
AJ saw it. Did AJ have 2 more years left on that deal?
2 more. Yep, 2 more.
Okay. Well, he saw where this was going, and he went like this. Yeah, I think we need this. And by the way, he had the equity to do it because, like you said, 3,300, 30, whatever it was for 2 years. He had the equity to go, let's go here. And they did it. Okay? And they did it.
I would surmise to you, as Seth Joyner would say, that the Eagles initiated that contract extension with AJ Brown before AJ Brown did. Because they knew
that kind of cash.
They knew
probably
they knew what was coming.
Back and forth. Yeah, you don't do that in a weekend.
If you don't extend AJ Brown this summer, right? Which they didn't have to do. Nobody thought they were going to do it.
They didn't even have to address it.
Now Justin Jefferson's getting this money. CeeDee Lamb is next. Jamar Chase is next. Now you're gonna have to pay $40 million to keep AJ on the roster. Instead, they paid him a bulk up front. They kept his cap hit really low. They pushed to the back. He got $32 million a year, and they're already ahead of the market.
So everyone saw where the market was going except
Devonte Smith's agent.
No, Smith, because I happen to agree with Joe Banner. Yeah. There's no way Clutch went with this. No way.
I guess Devonte just was perfect. Like if I was Devonte too, I would also be a little pissed at not at AJ, but at the Eagles because like if you knew you were going to bump him to 32, you could have got me to 25. Now they did kind of. It was a 3-year extension for $75 million.
The back end of the 3.
But they worked in like that the 5th-year option, the 4th year he's going to play this year, so it's kind of a 5-year deal.
It's like 8, 12, then it bumps up. Shit
right,
like that.
Right. God, Imagine after that 8-12 are done, it's gonna be the best contract in NFL history
for a team.
Yeah, for a team.
So get this: if he has a career year this year and leads the Eagles in receiving, say he has 1,400 yards, he's making $8 million this year, and you got a guy up in Minnesota making 36 million. You got a guy in Chicago and Detroit now, Brown, making 32, and you got all these guys making all that money, and they signed a 3-year deal, and they'll be back in the market when you're getting – get this. This is what sucks about his deal. So he plays 8 and 12 for those two, right?
Right.
Then the 3-year deal kicks in at whatever it is, 24. 24, you're still $15 million behind in the market.
Yeah, it's painful.
He'll never catch up.
It's painful.
Now, one thing to your point, if he's leading the Eagles in receiving the next 2 years, I believe Philly will adjust that.
Yeah, they will. There's no doubt about it. He missed out on money. I mean, no, there's no other way to slice it. But look, I'm not going to try and pocket count for Devonte Smith. I think he's good. I think he's fine being where he's at. But yeah, I mean, why do
you think he did it?
I don't think he regrets it now. I think when he's going to regret it is when he's 40 and 50 and his playing years are well behind him, and he's like, I probably should have maximized that period of my life for as much as I could. But it is what it is. I'm happy he's an Eagle. I sure am, and that's not just because of the contract. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great pro. I think he's a good role model for kids. I just think he's a good guy all around. I really do. I think he checks every box as a professional, and he even chirped Dan Sileo. So I appreciate that. Shout out to you, Devonte Smith.
You just kiss his ass because he's a Bama guy.
No, I'm not kissing his ass. I think he's actually a consummate professional. I think he really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players where they pay a lot of money, and you're like, yeah, their production is there. He has all the other stuff too, where he's a franchise guy that you want to be as a face of your franchise.
Absolutely. Xander, where are we in the likes? We haven't been asking enough of them here on this Monday. I need to get it up.
129.
All right, guys. Let's get it to 200, please. Gary Cobb's going to join us. Xander, by the way, that interview.
Yeah, it was great.
See, here's the difference between me and Marcus. Hey, Nick's a clown. Well, you know who that is. And here's Marcus. Well, we're going to put a soliloquy together on why I think that the Howie Roseman draft picks with Andre Dillard and, the last couple of years just have been underwhelming. And, when you pontificate on that, I'm like, pontificate? What the fuck is this guy?
You got mad at me before the show because I called him a scholar. I'm like, you guys say the same message, except you do it in a loud, boisterous, Big Sills type of way that can only be described as a Big Sills type of way. There's no word for it. And Marcus Hayes does it in a scholarly, smart reporter, writer type of way where he's, like you said, saying all these big words and stuff. But either way, pretty good stuff from Marcus Hayes. Pretty good stuff from you too.
Make sure you go and you watch that interview and the lead up to it too. They had a really great conversation this morning about these OTAs, and I think it's going to be interesting. Mandatory Nick week. Yeah. Sills was wet. Yes, sir, baby.
Dude, I love that interview. So I got a text. I wasn't even done the show, and I had a text in my phone. What an interview that was. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. I'm going to get ready for the afternoon.
Look at this. I had like 50 topics off this gosh dang thing. Appreciate it, guys. Please hit the like button. Gary Cobb's right around the corner. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Thanks for having me, Sills. Thanks to all the chat. We'll be right back.
You got it.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Val Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Marcus Hayes was absolutely sensational on Birds 365 this morning, and I'm going to get to Gary Cobb here in a minute, but I just tweeted out because I forgot to use the word fire. Devonte Smith needs to fire his agent as quick as possible. I mean, that deal he signed with the Eagles is the worst contract I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Justin Jefferson just signed a $35 million contract. CeeDee Lamb's going to get a $36 million contract. St. Brown just got a $32 million contract. And what they did, they didn't add fifth-year option. These are 3-year extensions, which means they'll be back in the market. Devontae will never be back in the market unless the Eagles get this. They have the leverage now. He gave them the leverage unless they decide to recut a deal with him. And if they don't, you're on that deal. You're on an $18.4 million deal. So get this. If he leads the Eagles in receptions this year and in yardage, making, what is it, $6 or $8 million this year, and you got guys around the league making $32 million for potentially doing less. You got to look at yourself, or you look at your age. Hey, I get you like want to be an Eagle, but at the expense of $20 million a year? I mean, let's get to Gary Cobb. Let's get his take on this. What a haircut, Gary. I mean, the rest of these guys are signing for $32 million a pop.
Yeah.
And here's Devontae, where over the 5 years, it's going to be 18-4. I mean, even Joe Banner came out and tweeted out, and I'm paraphrasing, Devontae needs to fire his agent as soon as possible. Or
Joe said that?
Joe Banner said that.
Whew,
and
man.
I mean, why would a player do this, Gary?
Well, obviously, maybe, just not doing his homework, and you can have an agent that you like and he's smoozing you and everything, but, you feel bad about that because, football's not an easy game. It's not easy on the body out there. You running across that middle, you're going to get some licks and, is your body going to you're going to stay healthy and everything. And, you know, you got all of that, and man, you really feel bad if a guy does not take care of himself financially, and the guy gets taken to the cleaners. But unfortunately, all he got to blame is the man in the mirror. You know, you got to go back and, you know, but the thing is, you really trusting your agent. Your agent, I mean, come on, man. I feel, you know,
That's so much money. Gary, we're not talking 5. We're talking potentially next year. That market's going to get to one day a $40 million wide receiver, and you're making.
Come on, again, you know, it's not far from there. It's just at the most a year away. At the most.
It's 35 now.
I know. You know that. Come on. You know, and you saw it coming. You knew that when AJ and man, and then to find out that, you know, he's not even making what we thought he was making. I mean, you know, we figure he's getting ready to make 25. That's what.
No, this year he's going to make 8, then 12, then in the third year it gets up and it starts cooking up in the 19s and 20s.
Yeah,
but
but
this in 3 years from now, people are going to be making $40 million at that position.
You know, the thing is, you figure he's going to step in and get a big bonus, right? He's going to get a big bonus. Well, as long as he's got the big bonus where he's got the money right now, you know, he had the, you know, you figure anything that they're signing now, you're getting a big bonus. That's what I'm assuming. See,
would you hold animosity if you're Devonte, say, in a year from now? Because can you imagine if the roles were reversed and that was AJ? That AJ was making that money and all of a sudden you had it reversed. This guy would be over near Ben Franklin, right there near Big Old Ben, and he'd be up top of that church tower, and he'd be screaming, "Whoa, over here!" You know he would be.
Well, you know, I just feel bad anytime a guy gets taken to the cleaners, man. I feel bad, man, because, like I said, it's not an easy sport. It's a violent sport. You're putting your body at risk. You only got one body. And I feel bad if he, you know, he didn't get a good deal. I mean, and you know, you just got to watch where you are hiring people just because they're friendly, okay? You get along with them. That's not the reason you hire your agent. You want a good agent that's going to go in there and get you the money.
I want a guy like Drew Rosenhaus who's an asshole to go get me that money, because I don't want to, you know, hey, Gary, you and I
you don't want to be the bad guy. You don't.
No, right. Make your agent the bad guy.
Agent's got to be the bad guy. And then you go like, hey, my agent right now, I'm not talking about, because, you know, they're going to try to come around talking, hey, Gary, blah, blah. Nah, I don't want to talk. You talk to my agent. And your agent's got to be to go in there and be the bad guy and go in there and get the money. But
absolutely,
to come out with a deal where you find out the guy got taken to the cleaners. Oh man, I just feel bad because
horribly.
He's gonna know it. And then he's walking in the locker room and he knows that, you know, you got guys making more money than him that shouldn't be. I feel bad for him, man.
Every time he steps on the field, he'll be the third highest paid wideout.
Oh man. Then that
for the next 5 years.
That hurts to say that, man. Man, I know, you know, and he's such a professional, and he's you know, he treats the game, you know, with the kind of respect you want to see a player. He puts in the work. You see him out there after guys have gone in. He's working on the routes. And I think he's helped AJ better. You know, he running his routes and everything just from working with him. He's a great route runner, and he's a good kid. You know, he's hard work. The thing you want to see in a player. He's a professional, and then to find out he gets taken to the cleaners in a negotiation. But what can you say? I haven't seen the contract, so that's why I hear people say, well, he's making 25. So I'm thinking he's making 25.
No, he ain't. Not yet. And how about Joe Banner ripping it? I mean, Banner coming out. Usually he goes, hey, good for the Eagles. Wow. But he's like, this guy needs to fire his guy, man, because they misread the market immensely here. And you know what? And people are going to go like this. Why is this a big deal? Well, as you and I know, Gary, and I try to express this to people, you and I are given a sheet of everybody at our position and what they're making, man. Hey, you're not gauging this league by backslaps. You're gauged where you are in that money list.
Yeah.
And when you see it, you're helping out the next guy behind you.
Yeah.
And you're going like this. Well, he's behind. Get this. He's so far behind the market. He signed a contract already behind in the market.
Wow. Oh boy.
6 weeks
I feel
later.
bad about that, but because you know,
6 weeks later.
I like Devonte. He's good. Like I said, he's everything you would want to see in a player. He's a professional about everything, and guys, he's doing everything to be the best player he can be. He's always ready to play, smart, and to find out like that I feel bad about that. Hopefully, some remedy to it.
Yep. Yeah, you know what that'll be. Hey, nice job. Hey, Gary, we had Marcus Hayes on this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And from the Inquirer, and he made some comments about Nick, about Jeffrey, about Jalen Hurts, the coaches. And I want to hear how you see this. First, let's start with Jalen. He said this: Jalen Hurts losing games will not be because of his talent. It'll be because he's not a great quarterback. Do you agree with that?
Of course he's improving as a quarterback. He's not, like he's right now he's not the best quarterback in the league and everything, but Jalen, I think is he's getting better as a quarterback. I see the way they're working him out there now. I really like what the new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, what he's doing with him and working with him, because precision on those short routes, like he's gonna be throwing those routes to Saquon, having that ball there, getting rid of that ball quickly, utilizing him, out of the backfield, because a lot of times they're gonna go, we're worried about these receivers and everything. And he gets the ball quickly to Saquon. He's just going to be running. And that linebacker, whoever's got him, he's not going to catch him. So they're going to be able to take advantage of that. I think, Jalen's getting better and everything. I'm not going to say he's the best quarterback in the league, but he's an outstanding quarterback.
So you see him and the progression going here. Marcus expanded that by saying, one of the issues that they had a year ago, he thinks that Brian Johnson didn't get a fair shake because just like in the Seattle game, when asked the question, those guys improv'd. And according to Marcus, he believes that the majority of the second half of the season, that the players were going off the reservation, that they would put a game plan together, and Hurts and the receivers would contradict the game plan, change the plays. And that was on numerous situations that was out there. And they never gave Brian Johnson a chance. And to that point here too, Gary, I mean, Devonte had a career year. AJ had a career year. The running back had a career year. The only guy in the huddle that didn't have a career year was the quarterback. I mean, do you think there's any truth to that?
I think at times, yeah, they give them the freedom to improvise. I think that, but it didn't seem like they made a good adjustments against the blitz. Come on. I mean,
Isn't that the quarterback, though?
Well, no. I mean,
okay.
Well, it could be, but the thing about it is, I didn't see the design where it seemed like he recognized the blitz was coming. He's looking. You could see he's reacting, but I didn't see adjustment in the game plan. What are we doing? We got guys breaking off their routes that I can get the ball to them. It looked like numerous times where they're running their routes. There's no adjustment, So I can't blame that on Jalen when there's no. I don't see an adjustment in the routes, and nobody's open, and he's running for his life. To me, that's the design of the offense. I could not blame that on the quarterback. So I can't say that's Jalen. Normally in the good offenses, you see an adjustment. When they spot blitz, and I saw where they recognized the guy's coming. He's pointing at this guy's coming, and he was stopping. He was going, the guy's coming. Okay, the guy comes. Nobody's breaking off their routes. I'm going like, well, if if that's the case, then they're going to go to the sideline and go, hey, guys, we got to break that route off for him. I didn't see that in their offense. It seemed like they did not adjust to blitzes, and I couldn't put that on Jalen. That was the offense.
How about this too, Gary? He insinuated that Nick Sirianni endorses insubordination. And what I mean by that is that when you put a game plan together and you don't follow the game plan and you're changing the play, see, I think there's got to be a balance there to this too. That the players are just out there not following the script that Brian and some of the players were putting together, or the coaches were putting together for these guys. And that was more, he thought, on the players, the nuclear meltdown at the end of the year, than it was what the game plan of the coaches was. Is there a little of both, or do you subscribe to that? Because here was Nick. Nick didn't do anything. He didn't hold anybody accountable. He started lying about something in Seattle that was an infamous tale about some sort of incompletion that they were looking for. I mean, I don't think he was maliciously trying to lie, but I think he was trying to cover for his guys. But why go to those extent without just saying our players can't get off the reservation here? I mean, tell me, because again, this is Marcus's take, and I'm just curious.
I know. Yeah,
he's covered the team for 4 decades.
Now I could understand, because see, a lot of times when things happen, somebody could come in and pretty much paint it the way they want to paint it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I shouldn't even say that. I should say they come in, and one person tells you this, another person tells you that. I mean, that guys see it in different ways. Like a guy could be doing something that he thinks is helping the team and it's hurting the team. That means players, coaches, everybody. Somebody could have their best interests of the team at heart, but what they're doing is hurting the team. And you really don't find that out until after it's over, see? So that's why when you come in on these situations and the team has gone south and everything, everybody's got their opinion about what happened. And it's different. There are different opinions about, we did this, but where at times a guy could be breaking off a route, he thinks he's helping, and the quarterback throws an interception. He go, hey, man. Well, one guy saw one thing, one guy saw another, Well, who do you blame? Who's at fault? The guy thought he was helping out the quarterback. He finds out he's not. So that's where when you get into this, and from having played in the league and all that, everybody's got a position. Like on defense, where did that run? The run that the guy took off for 50 yards, where did it break at? Well, when you're on the bus on the way, going getting on the airplane, you find 20 places where that guy broke.
Hey, that wasn't my issue, man. I set the edge. I aimed them back towards the pursuit, man. I did my job.
Hey, that's why you could have somebody in. Like a police officer going to the crime scene. What really happened? Until you get to the video, the coach gets in there and really lays it down. Okay, this has happened, but he's got to make it very clear. Okay, this is what we're going to do when we get in this situation again. Such and such, don't you do this. Don't ever do this. I want you to do this. The quarterback is going to make the call. Whatever. You got to get that very clear. And because some guys will try to help and they could end up hurting. And so I don't know all what Marcus said, but I know the way things went south, there were a lot of people weren't happy in the locker room after the game. I'll go in there. You see guys weren't happy. And some of them wanted, they just had to put tape on their mouth. They're ready to say. But it's hard to say, well, what really did happen? And I guess, whatever Nick told Jeffrey Lurie and them, obviously they didn't like it.
No, I mean,
they didn't buy it. He was doing a good job because he really took more of the blame than anybody. I mean, because he's the one that kind of got whacked where he's not really running the offense anymore.
No, I mean, all those guys, even Desai, who had game planned against Tua and Mahomes and those guys.
That's
They
right.
all got thrown on the sword for all this thing here. Couple last questions here for you, Gary. Now Marcus went on with this guy was just cutting and slashing today here. I mean, he looked at
I could see the blood back over there now.
Hey man, no, he was cutting and slashing today. I mean, I suggest people watch the interview on Birds 365 because this guy was going nuts. And he said this about Howie. He goes, Howie is so engaged in what he's doing, where he's so involved in everything. And the reason that Hurts is so important to this organization, it's because he's important to Howie. They were wrong on Wentz in the extension. They were wrong in how they developed him. They were wrong in the coaches a year ago. Gary, did he not get killed the first 2 years that Hurts was on the roster, that they took a quarterback in the second round at that position? Nobody liked that pick because they were like, why would you waste a second rounder? You got Wentz. So he's now taking victory laps on this.
Mm-hmm.
This thing's got to work, doesn't it? Or this is solely a reflection on him because, he regressed a year ago.
But the thing is, this is the way the NFL is. You are married to your quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Right on.
You give him $50 million a year. You're married to your quarterback. And so that's not a stretch to see that. And you do have to give Howie credit in that he went out, and the Eagles preach this, which is we invest in the quarterback position. Meaning we're going to try to keep that position stocked. And they talk about that's what they believe in. And really, how important is it? You can't have too many good quarterbacks, really. You can't, even though, you can only play one at a time. So it's going to be very interesting. But I understand what you said about the fact that Howie is married to Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he's married. Yep. And, even better than a ring, $50 million is even better than the ring. I don't know how many rings are worth $50 million.
Hey, absolutely. You can keep all the trophies you want as long as that direct deposit looks like that. Finally, this was the ultimate shot, I thought, by a guy who's got a key fob, who's allowed to cover the team, who works for the Inquirer. Gary, I can't believe this guy is still allowed Bob Lang. I can't believe it when he said this. I don't know why everyone, gives Howie Roseman all the credit here for this 2017. I'm paraphrasing a little, for them winning the Super Bowl. Joe Banner set the organization up. It was Joe Banner who put how you did contracts. It was Joe Banner who did all this. And for Howie to be taking victory laps, it wasn't Howie that built the 17 team. It was Joe Banner's philosophy and the structure of the organization and how it was built. How do you see that?
See, that is just not. I don't think that's fair to do that because everybody was taught by somebody. Okay. Now, does Joe Banner deserve some of it? Yeah, Joe Banner helped him. But did Joe Banner go out and make the calls? He'd do this and do that. No, Joe Banner wasn't there to do all of that. No. So you got to give Howie credit. Do you go back and say, Joe taught him some things? Yes. But to go and say that's just like a quarterback wins the Super Bowl. But you know who deserved the credit? The quarterback that used to be here because he learned underneath him. Now, come on. You can't do that. That is a cheap to do that. Come on.
You think that's a cheap shot? You think that's a cheap shot?
Because the guy was the GM. Come on. He made most of the decisions, the people they brought in. Now, did he learn things from Joe Banner? He'd be a fool not to learn from Joe Banner. And come on. So you're going to take a guy's credit away from him and say, well, the guy that deserved the credit is Joe Banner. Now, come on. That's not. Come on. You can't do that. If you could do that, come on. Everybody learned from somebody. Come on.
How about this one, too? I got to sneak one last one in. He goes like this. Since the 17th. I love that, Gary. Since the Super Bowl, okay, you've had a 4-win season. You've made the playoffs, sure. But he's like this. He goes, 4 of the last 6 years have been, okay, you make the playoffs. Well, that's your job to make the playoffs. At the end of the day, he looks at it like underachieved. since the Super Bowl, 4 of the last 6
They
years.
went
Do you
to the
see
Super
it that
Bowl.
way?
Nobody thought they were going to go to that Super Bowl they went to now. Come on.
No way.
Nobody thought they were going to go to that Super Bowl. Okay. They went to the Super Bowl. Okay. They've been to the playoffs. You can't come in and go, okay, well, so what? You're going to just brush off the Super Bowl. That was lucky or whatever. Come on. You can't do that. You can't do that. You got to give people credit for what they do. So you just basically look at, the trip to the Super Bowl was like, that was an accident. That was a mistake. Somebody slipped on a banana peel. What? Come on, man. You got to give them credit. You can take shots at people, but if they make accomplishments, you got to give the guy credit. I mean, he was the GM. Come on. And it wasn't like he was a GM just overnight. He's been in the position for quite a while. I mean, come on.
He also thinks that Jalen Carter's a bust.
In times you can get up and you're so close to somebody to where when they do something, you don't want to give them credit because you see their failings. Well, if they went to the Super Bowl, look at all the other guys that did worse. They're sitting in the Super Bowl and came close to winning too. It came very close to winning the game.
I completely get it. He also said Jalen Carter's a bust.
I'm just,
I'm not there either. I'm not even remotely.
I understand people. Hey, you know what? People got, that's your job. They got to give opinions, though. Come on. I'm not going to say, well, you should say this, whatever. No, I understand that, but I come in and go, hey, look, I'm not going to take a guy's credit if a guy has an accomplishment. Now, there might be some players I'm going, I don't think that guy's that good. But if the guy went to the Pro Bowl and did this, I'm going to give the guy credit. I'm going to, he slipped and tripped over, a banana peel and made the interception or whatever. Look, I don't care how he did. He made the interception. Give the guy credit. Just like you give the GM credit. He takes a team to the Super Bowl. Now, they were clearly a team that was a good football team. Come on. Oh,
he got lucky. He got lucky, though.
That's rough, man. I'll tell you something.
Hey, I'm not with him on Jalen Carter. I go, man, I see the opposite.
I saw a lot of good things in Jalen Carter.
I see great things in him too. I don't.
Because I'm looking at the kid Jordan Davis and him. I'm going, Jalen Carter, man. Come on.
Yeah.
The kid away shows me. I see the quickness, what you need inside there, and the athletic ability you see inside where there's certain things he did right away. You can't teach a guy that.
No. He's got his hand placement, the way he plays the three.
Come on.
The way he moves, the penetration he gets, knocking guards off too on the plane. I mean, he does so many great things. I mean, did they run out of gas? Gary, you and I know, man, week 12, 13, usually that's how many college games you play. For a guy who's rotated so much at Georgia, that's going to be a common. You see that everywhere when it comes to college kids. So anyway, Gary, great stuff.
Now, if he said it about Davis, Davis, he got some stuff to prove.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He's
got to step into the light this year.
Yeah.
But I think them putting him on that nose, let's give him I'm going to give him a reprieve here a little bit and see what he does on that nose, because if he can live up on that nose and he can stop the run for them, I think it's going to, we'll see what happens. I think he's Vince Carter. I mean, I think he's Vince Wilfork, something like that. I don't think he's going to be Fletcher Cox.
Hey, Vince Wilfork will work.
Hey, that's 3 Super Bowls.
Vince Wilfork, that's okay. Vince Wilfork, we're cool with that.
Yeah, no, that's what I said when they drafted him. I'm cool with that. Gary, thank you, brother.
Hey, have a good one.
Gary Cobb, Fox 29. Make sure you check it out. Yeah, no, man, I'm good with that. If he ends up being Vince Wilfork, we're good with it. Jalen Carter's good, but don't act like Pro Bowl. Hey, DFW, this is where I'm going to have to fight back at you. Hey, I know, man. You know what shitty DT play looks like right now with Lazy Smith. Is that his name, Lazy Smith? Hey, DFW, Lazy Smith. What happened to Lazy Smith, dude? Sills, you pissed because that makes your take wrong? How can my take be wrong? Hold on for a second. What are you saying my take's wrong? They weren't my takes. Seals, you pissed because that makes your takes wrong, clowning at you saying we won't pay these receivers instead of admitting he was wrong? You're not paying him that yet. He's making chicken shit money for 2 years. Big Marshall. He's making $6 million this year. He's making 12 next year. He ain't making 25 million. The other big time wideouts are. They're making 30. Your guy's making peanuts. Get this. The kicker on the team, what's his name? What's the kicker's name? He makes 3, 4.5. He's going to make the same money that Devonte makes. What's his name? Josh what? What the hell's the I don't stay up to date with the kickers. I don't know kicker names. Okay, a DFW, Lazy Smith. Always remember that. He ain't I'm wrong. He ain't making 25. There's only one guy making big money in Philadelphia, wide receiver. Oh, yeah, that's right. Kick Elliott. He makes as much as Devonte. Boy, I tell you what, man. Wow, poor Devonte Smith. Son, I feel for you, man. Must not have had your thinking cap on that day. Woo! Oh, my God. Holy shit, man. Ben, you didn't even need to go to the barber for that one. You just went in your backyard and got the hedge trimmer out. They cut Devontae's head and his hair with the weed eater. They cut his head with the weed eater. Weed eater. Hey, get the yell. So wait a minute here. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at what's going on right now. So let's see. Tyreek. No, we do this. Jefferson makes 35. AJ makes 32 annually. Brown makes 31. Adams makes 30. Cup 8. Hill makes 30. 8. Devontae makes 6. 6. So this year, let me see here. AJ's going to make 32 million. He's going to make 32 million. And Devontae's going to make 6. How come the pay scale went down for Smith? Wait till CD signs. That'll be 34, 35. In a matter of 6 weeks. Devonte Smith's deal looks like a deal from the 80s. They're going to do him right? They just signed a contract 6 weeks ago. Yale? When are they going to do that? Year 3? So wait a minute. Yale says they're going to fix that. So they'll fix it in 3 years, right? 2 years? So the Eagles are going to up him because why? They're good folk? Yale goes, hey, now I know why they have $27 million cap space. Too bad they didn't spend it on defense. That'd have been nice. Whew. Hey, I got to find that out. Hold on. Highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. Highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. Who are they? Highest paid wide receivers annually in the NFL. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Justin Jefferson, 35. A.J. Brown, 32. Amon St. Brown, 30. Jalen Waddle, 28-2. Devontae Adams, 28. Holy mud on. What is this? You can't be. How can that deal be already outdated? Devonte Adams, 28. Cooper Kupp, 26. Holy shit. Highest paid receivers, total value, $140 million. They're tied. $140 million, Justin Jefferson and Adams. St. Brown, 120. Tyreek Hill, 120. Amari Cooper, 100. A.J. Brown, 96. Calvin Ridley, 92. Jalen Waddle, 84.7. Cooper Kupp, 80. Keenan Allen, 80. Guaranteed money. Justin Jefferson, $110 million in guarantees. A.J. Brown, 84. St. Brown, 77. Waddle, 76. Kupp, 75. Hill, 72. Adams, 65. Amari, 60. DK Metcalf, 58. Deebo Samuel, 58. Where is your boy? Damn. What a haircut. Shit. Man. Hey, man. Hey, DFW. That's a true statement, dog. He sure did. Thank you, Mr. International. 147 likes. Let's go. Got to get to 200, guys. We're going to take a time out here. We really appreciate you guys coming aboard. We're going to reset. Bunch of other stuff going on. Teams are all in OTAs too. We are getting closer and closer to the start of training camp. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Delval Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills! Howie season. Hit the like button. Xander, where are we in the like list right now, brother? I want to make sure we get this here in this final hour because I'm going to tell you guys, buckle up here, folks. Where are we here now? 152. We're 48 away. Guys, I need your help. Please help us out here. Try to get to 200 likes. Big Sills, have you gotten a chance to hear the coach's press conference today? Based on quarterback coaches, it sounds like this is definitely a new offense led by Kellen Moore. Don't believe anything you'll ever be told at a Philadelphia Eagle press conference. It's a house of lies. I have no belief in anything they say. Now, if it's people asking questions, I'll take some truth to it. If Marcus Hayes and Silky and McLean, if they're asking questions, I'll believe some of that. Rest of them, and John McMullen, rest of them, yell. Clint Hurts a big dude. Hey, DFW, they don't know NFL contracts. They just think they do. Hey, James, Eagle fans acting like Kellen Moore's like North Turner or Bill Belichick. I know, he's not. Smitty not going bankrupt anytime soon. Not the point. Point is, guy signed a stupid-ass deal. It's a stupid deal. He's already out six weeks out. All right, let me get to another thing. I haven't even broached this yet. Howie season, baby. So this week, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to find out if they're going to get hammered, not hammered, or if they're going to have punishment because of tampering over the Barkley signing this offseason here. Atlanta Falcons are also being questioned for Kirk Cousins. By the way, I'll just say this to you too. Minnesota Vikings are just about ready to find out what life is going to be without Kirk Cousins when you have to put J.J. McCarthy with a $35 million investment. So hang on there for a minute. You have J.J. McCarthy with a $35 million wide receiver, J.J. McCarthy, who threw the ball 240 times last year. Shit, man. I mean, that is the ultimate Wildcat quarterback right there. Right there. That is the ultimate Wildcat. That's not even Jacoby Brissett. You got J.J. McCarthy. It's going to – dude, he sucks. Not a chance he's good. Not a chance he's good. No way is that guy going to carry that franchise. Absolutely no way. And you just signed a wide receiver to $35 million with a guy who threw the ball 100 times. And there was a game against Penn State, they didn't throw the ball in the second half at all. Mark goes, the Falcons are going to get hammered. Hey, Haas, Mark, one day, Hurts will put up some of those numbers that Cousins has put up in his career. Wake me up when that happens. How you doing? Hey, wake me up when that happens. Your boy Hurts. I can't wait. Oh, God. I can't wait for this year. So the Eagles are going to find out if they're going to get hammered. By the way, you know how the NFL does business? You know why the Miami Dolphins have been so quiet? Miami Dolphins haven't really bitched about Fangio. have been really bitch about Fangio leaving because they didn't really like the guy anyway. Most of the players hated the guy and his bedside manner. You just listen to him. No, I'm not buying into any of that. I want to see what he does in Philly. I mean, when he was a consultant, he helped them get to the Super Bowl. He was part of that whole thing. So I'm not playing a lot of credence into that. But there's no question the Eagles jumped the gun in this. And I told you they did. Validated again. I told you by the end of the year, there was already conversations going on that Vic Fangio was going to be the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles by the last month of the season. That already had been put in place. And that one of the reasons for him to leave Miami was for him to have complete autonomy of what they were going to do defensively. And one of those was getting rid of Reddick. And that's why somebody help me out on this. I know I've asked you guys this before. Tell me the last day of the season. Can you? Tell me the last day of the season for the Miami Dolphins. What was the last game? And then tie that into how many days it was until Vic was named the defensive coordinator. How many? A week? Was he named like a week? I mean, he didn't even get a chance to get offered any other gigs. That job was already his, right? It's like a week. Season was over, and they hired him. I mean, the contract were they already? How'd you come up with the money so fast? How'd you come up with job responsibility so fast? Was it because you were in the building 2 years ago? Okay. Here, the NFL doesn't like people jumping the gun. That's like collusion and tampering shit. Tom Brady and the Miami Dolphins lost a first-round draft choice because they were dealing with somebody under contract. That's the point. It's not whether or not the Dolphins wanted Vic or not. The Eagles were talking to somebody with a guy under contract still with another organization. And then Barkley, look, the James Franklin thing, I think that's just kind of like the open visual that you see James Franklin with a stupid comment. The question is going to be, is there anything behind the scenes on it? January 25th, he was hired. January 25th, he was hired. What was the last day the Dolphins played? Professor, what was the last day the Dolphins played? So 11 days later, he was hired? So 11 days later, they had put all the requirements and restrictions and what his job title was going to be. And they just flew him up, interviewed him, and hired him, right? Where last year, it took them 3 months to hire Desai. Interesting. 11 days. They cut that deal. That's what they're looking at. Contacting a coach under contract, whether the Dolphins wanted him or not, is not Park Avenue's concern, because it sets a precedent that other GMs can start talking to assistant coaches who are under contract. And let's not forget something. That's also a lateral move. Do you understand that you have to get permission to have a conversation with someone like that before on lateral moves? This wasn't to elevate the head coach. You rarely see elevated moves. Nobody has elevated moves, and you have to contact those teams. Dolphins are probably telling them, hey, because then Mike McDaniel had came out when that whole decision on him leaving on the 11th, and we parted in separate ways. 11 days later, or 13th, whatever it was, 11 days later, he was hired. That's what the NFL's, plus with Howie contacting free agents and coaches under contract, is what the league's looking at. It's a combination of the two. And when you combine what happened with Arizona with Jonathan Gannon, this is in the last 2 years this has gone on. How we doing business like this? Is this isolated to just Howie? No. Do I think other GM? Yes. But you got to keep everybody on the reservation. That's right, Yale. It sets a bad precedent that, say I want to hire a coordinator, or how about this? Robert Saleh's going to be fired. It's already in the wall. It's already on the wall. He's going to be fired. I don't know if I were a coach, like a coach that needed a Buffalo Bills, if I needed a D coordinator, I'm going to reach out to him and his people, and I'm going to go, hey, listen, I hope you keep your job as the head coach of the Jets. But in case something goes sideways, I hope you'll give us the call initially. You can't do that. You're under contract. That's tampering. Then he goes like this. Tampering happens all the time in the NFL. Yeah, and guys get caught some of the times. And when you get caught, you get draft picks taken from you. Now, do I think this is like a third, fourth, or fifth? I tell you what, I heard John McMullen just brush it off. It's multiple times, though, now the Eagles are being questioned. Gannon. Hey, by the way, in the whole Steichen hiring, let me get this right. Nick and Steichen came from Indy. Nick was recommended by Indy. Lori called Irsay for Nick. Wentz deal. Okay, probably coincidence. Gannon gets the job in Arizona. By the way, not saying that the Eagles were involved in anything with Arizona, because as far as I know, there was a prepared statement that we heard coming from Philly, and it didn't sound it didn't sound like they were giving pats on the back to Jonathan Gannon for how he got that job during the Super Bowl. Was there tampering? Arizona had to switch picks or something? What was that? More like positioning, switching or something like that in the draft, right? There was like situational switching or something. I don't know. Then this offseason, Vic's hired 10 days after being fired as the new DC. They didn't want to wait that long. I don't blame them. You can't tell me you didn't have a conversation with somebody in Vic Fangio's camp saying, hey, listen, whatever's going on here. And why Vic made the deal right away. I'm not staying here. He's out. Signed a contract. He's in Philly. The job he coveted even a year ago. I say Desai was the third choice anyway. They finally got their guy just a year later. Okay. They wanted to get ahead of it. I don't have a problem with that. You're still under contract. You understand? You're still under contract. The league hates that. The Miami Dolphins, as I told you, Brady was under contract. He was under contract with Tampa Bay. And what they were doing, remember, was something to do with ownership. Brady was going to go to Miami, be a 5% owner of the Dolphins, which right now he's trying to be a 5% owner of the Raiders. And there were negotiations going back and forth between Stephen Ross, Tom Brady, and Don Yee's agent. When the league found that out, Brady was still under contract. And he had retired. But still under contract because the season hadn't started in March. They took a first-round pick away from the Dolphins. Now, what do I think this penalty will be? I don't think it's going to be a seventh rounder. And let me ask you guys something else here. Okay? Xander, get this, all you guys. Now I know why Howie made all those draft day trades for later round picks. And the way he was moving around in the draft on the third day. Yale, think about this. Think about all the movement that they had on the third day. Moving up and down, trading picks to acquire more picks in 25. I mean, you don't think there's a coincidence that he thought he would lose picks? I'm not saying he's going to lose multiple picks. But he did a lot of moving around for those 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks. I thought it was kind of weird. And he was like, I go, man, well, he's really banking on that 25 draft in later rounds. Why? You're really going to go into later rounds and think you're going to find Jason Kelce again? You might. I don't know. Now I know why. He's expecting to lose a draft pick. The question will be 4, 5, 6, or 7. Now, I would be shocked if it's a 4. I'd be shocked. Mark, I'm around there, Mark. I think it's a 5th. If they come back and it's multiple picks, they had a problem with them. It's about the volume of draft picks they'll take away. Not so much the round. It's the message. Next time it'll be worse. If you continue your bullshit, you've had multiple off seasons where you've had suspect. Get this. And again, I don't want to make this seem like this is just an ego issue, because I don't believe it is. I know teams contact each other. Howie's always on the phone, according to some people. Forrest, right. I agree. And that's why I think he went and really made, like, look at how many picks he got for all those draft picks he traded away this year in this recent draft so that he could have multiple picks in 25. Next year's draft is not deeper in O-line. It's not deeper at linebacker. It's not deeper at cornerback. And it's not deeper at running back. Quarterback situation doesn't look great. Wide receivers still be some depth. But I don't know what you're talking about. This draft was as good a draft as you can possibly get. Maybe some better D tackles and edge rushers. Edge rushers are going to be pretty prominent in this coming draft, this 25 draft. Okay? Guys, please hit the like button. We told you he was getting picks for the fine dummy. Who's we? How is he getting picks for the... Oh, you never said that. Made up again, senor. Keep it up, brother. You'll get one right. You can need a 5th because Howie isn't a great drafter. He's okay. Miami wanted Vic gone. Twist, not the issue. That's not the point. That's not the point. The NFL doesn't look at it like that. The NFL looks at it where you've gone out of your reservation and out of your sandbox and not following rules on how they put you. Dude, they took a first-round pick away because of an innocuous conversation with Don Yee. Give me a break. Okay? I mean, let's go here now. Let's reset here. Hey, real quick, before we continue, that Caitlin Clark story, I've never watched more WNBA in my life than I have this weekend. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but hey, you want to watch a racist game? You watch a WNBA game. Woof. Envy and jealousy is on display front and center. And I get some of it. Hey, if I was some of these women who are some of the most accomplished basketball women of all time, and I saw a white chick walking onto my floor and she's getting credit because she's good and she's white, I'd be envious too. Hey, now you're finding me? But at the end of the day, you need to embrace that because it's going to put more money in my wallet. It's going to make me richer. It's why I'm not flying commercial anymore. Do you really want to go back to playing in front of 4,200 fans? Or do you want to play in front of 20,000 fans like you do every night that she's in town? Or that your league is, people are talking about it? I mean, you're dumb. Some of these women are so jealous and so envious that it really supersedes race. Mr. International goes, Angel Reese is better. It doesn't matter. You're missing the point. Larry Bird faced this shit. Larry Bird was great in white. He had Lakers, Celtics, and the league sold it. Sell it. Sell race. News media does. And they make a fortune over it. The business of race is so lucrative. There's nothing wrong with that. Say it. Why are people so afraid to say, sell a white woman in a dominated black sport so that white advertisers can advertise so all can benefit? Why are you afraid of that? Why are you afraid of that? Why can't people talk like this? Why are you afraid to talk like this? You don't want division? You'll never have division in a predominantly black sport like basketball. You'll never. But when you have something to sell it. Don't shun from it. Embrace it. My God Almighty, you got a golden nugget in your hand, and you don't know better what to. And the WNBA was not prepared for her fame and the impact she was going to make on their sport. They thought she was just some good white chick from Iowa. It's different. They're on mainstream media now. They lead some headlines now. And her getting gooned in that game over the weekend is a prime example. That was awesome. Sell it. You know what ESPN did? Do you know what ESPN did? They took that highlight out of the highlight package because they were afraid that they would have to go, a black girl's gooning on a white chick. Nobody that's an athlete, nobody that's a sports fan looked at it like that. I looked at it as it was just jealousy. Accomplished women being upset for not being recognized all these years. I think that's what it was more than anything. Sure, you can drop racism in it if you feel and you're low-browed. At the end of the day, though, the media's they don't even know how to cover it. I heard the guy talking about it, Caitlin Clark, going, hey, look, you could be a basketball player in girly. Is that how you talk about Tom Brady? Grow up, guy. Learn how to cover athletes. Girly? Those girls were tough, playing tough basketball. That was as physical 1990s basketball like it was in the NBA. There was nothing girly about that game. This guy's talking like a worm. Cover the girls right. Cover them right. Like they're athletes. That's why women's sports doesn't get anywhere. Because of the white elitist people that cover them also. Dude, it's a great story. It's a great story to teach in college. How you have something that is going to help a sport like no other. Like, look at LeBron James when LeBron came into the league. LeBron's a black athlete who came into the league. Remember that article, The Chosen One? He had that on that cover of Sports Illustrated. He was a massive target. They gooned him so much. She's facing a lot of that because he's the chosen one. LeBron James, as much as I don't like his politics, is a course study for colleges, never in trouble, never arrested, has become a billionaire, gives to communities, gives money to scholarships for kids. He married his high school sweetheart. He raised a bunch of good kids. He is what you call every single thing that you want in an American athlete, in an American story, and that is one of the greatest stories of all time for any race. Never in trouble. His brand's intact. Even Kobe's brand got knocked off track with Eagle, Colorado. Not him. He protected that brand like no one's business. It's a course study in how to act like an athlete, what he did. It's incredible. Built an empire. Guy makes $1 million a week. It's insane. Kudos to him. And raising a family. It's not the point if Kobe was innocent. He was involved. Nike and everyone paused their investments to him. What does 90% of the women in the NBA being lesbian has to do with anything? Who gives a shit about that? You're covering sports wrong or looking at a sport wrong when you look at sexuality. By the way, I like the fact that the Kardashians are involved in WNBA. Some of those women are beautiful. Put them in like a calendar. Sell sex, sell race. There's nothing wrong with that. My God almighty. I'll tell you this, man. I'll tell you this flat out. I can't believe people are so afraid to talk like this. Selling race and selling sexuality is not a bad thing, especially when all benefit. But gooning on a white chick like that and covering it the way you're covering it, you're running from it. Now you know why the American media is in the position and in the shape it's in. No one trusts you. Okay? LeBron James wants to be Michael Jordan. LeBron James, in many ways, is better than Michael Jordan. Never divorced. Wasn't accused of gambling. Nothing. Jordan's wealthier. That's it. That's it. And maybe at the end of the day, he won't be. LeBron buys an NBA team like the Vegas team eventually, or he goes and buys from Dan Gilbert the Cleveland Cavaliers. Whatever, flexing. Nobody's talking about who the best is here. I'm talking about a course study in how you become a superstar, stay a star, and keep your brand intact. That's what I'm talking about. You're talking about micro. I'm talking macro. I have no idea what you're talking about. You guys are talking small shit. I'm talking big picture. A dad, wife, and husband, family. Never in trouble. No accusations of anything. Winning. 3 different teams. All that. It's not important if he's the greatest. It's not important. That is the Skip Bayless conversation. I'm talking about being a celebrity man. A celebrity black man. Oh boy, I'll tell you. Some of you guys, man, you really don't get it. You think being the greatest basketball player is the most important thing right now to LeBron, or being worth $5 billion? Hey, you want the title of being the greatest? I'll take the $5 billion. Wow. You can't be any dumber. Can't be dumber. Hit the like button, please. It's not the point. All right. We talked about Devonte and his deal. Let's do CeeDee Lamb. I happen to agree with Xander here. You want CeeDee Lamb or Devonte Smith. And my quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Okay, Mr. International, thank you very much. Okay, CeeDee Lamb and Devonte, and my quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Who's your wideout between those two? Who's your wideout? Mr. International goes Smith. Yale goes, I like Devonte. Xander, I think you said the same thing, right? I think you said Devonte as well. CeeDee's a slot guy too. CeeDee's number 3 on this roster. Smitty. I'm taking Devonte Smith all day. Always makes the big play, Sills. Smitty's just better all-around receiver, better route runner, better hands. What are you guys missing the most important? And I'm not saying CeeDee Lamb is a bad teammate. CeeDee all day. Devontae's good, but not on CeeDee's level. Okay, well, let me ask you this. DFW, and I'm glad you're here because you're going to bring balance to this. If I put CeeDee Lamb on the Eagle offense, or no, we'll do this. If I put CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown on a field, and the quarterback is Mahomes, who's Mahomes going to more? I'm not throwing to CeeDee Lamb. I'm throwing to A.J. Brown. And by the way, my friend, I'm not telling you CeeDee sucks. This is not a suck conversation. I'm telling you, if you're the number 1 guy in an offense or not, you're never going to be the number 1 wide receiver. DFW, if you're in an offense with A.J. Brown or Devontae Adams or Cooper Kupp or any of them guys, you're not going to get to major targets. You're going to be number 2. That guy's doing all the shit he's doing in a submissive role. He's not the main target guy. Can somebody do me a favor? How many targets did CeeDee Lamb get last year for the Dallas Cowboys? And I think this is all you're going to need to know. How many targets did Lamb get, and how many targets did Devonte Smith get? And right there is all you need to know. Equal the number. I may be wrong. If Lamb got as many targets, as Devonte, this conversation, I'm going to get killed in this conversation. So how many targets last year did CeeDee Lamb get, and how many targets did Devonte get? Okay. So Devonte got 158 versus 181. You give me 25 more targets, means probably 18 more catches, puts me at 1,400 yards, 1,300 yards. And remember something else. I'll say this to you. When you're the number 1 wide receiver, okay? Dude, get this. AJ had 158 targets, and CeeDee Lamb had how many? He had 181? Dude, no thank you. Give me A.J. Brown all night. Devonte had 112 targets? This is a joke. Lamb had 181. Devonte had 112. So wait a minute here. You give that guy 70 more targets, how do you think he's going to have when it comes to stat totals? Devonte Smith had 112 targets to 181. That's almost half a season of targets thrown to you. Where are you coming off that CD's better? Can you imagine if AJ had that many targets, 25 more? He might have went for 1,900 yards. Look at Mr. International. That gets through his progressions. Progressions for who? You don't have any progressions in that offense. You got one guy. The rest of those guys are hamburger helper. Dude, no disrespect to Lamb. But he better have that many more yards. He's got 70 more targets than Devonte. He's got 25 more targets than A.J. Brown himself. And A.J. was a 1,500 guy. So wait a minute. You're telling me if A.J. Brown had 25 more targets to equal Lamb's targets that he got, instead of 15, you don't think he gets 1,800 yards? Give me a break, man. Or you drop AJ in the slot too, and he's coming out of the slot, which is easier. He doesn't get targeted on every down. DFW, I'm not saying he does. I'm saying he gets the majority of the targets in a game. And the numbers dictate that. I'm with you. Yeah. If A.J. Brown had gotten the targets at CeeDee Lamb, he'd be on 1,900 yards. And can you imagine dropping him in the slot a couple times? Having to have linebackers like Nakobe Dean covering him? It'd be impossible. This is a non-conversation. Still, he had 350 more yards. Yeah, he had 70 more targets. Look at this. How many does a wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown get in the game? 8? Is that right? Would you say 8 is a normal for targets? 8 to 10? So you're telling me that A.J. Brown had 7 less games equaling of targets than what Lamb had. So Lamb got 1,700 based off of what an equivalent of what 7 more games would be. Who do you think's a better wideout, Lamb or A.J. Brown? And then when you look at the other kid, hey, by the way, what was that? So Brandon Crooks had 81 targets. JM, what was his total in receiving yards? Can you tell me? On what his was? What was Cooks? Cooks got targeted 81 times. How many receiving yards? Because really only 20 more catches, 20 more targets, and Devonte went for 1,200. He had 657 yards. Being in the 2-hole, this guy had 100 catches and 1,200 yards in the 2-hole with a quarterback who can't throw for $4,000. Come on, dog. Well, I'm telling you right here, now that I see those targets and who the quarterback is in Philly, it's astonishing. It's astonishing what those two guys are doing. Now I know why AJ got paid. It's astonishing. Hey, guys, so Cooks had 54 catches for 657 with 81 targets. Devonte had 1,200 yards receiving on 112 targets and like 7 touchdowns. And he's the 2 guy in that offense, right? That's like insane. It's absolutely astonishing. That's not a 4,500. That's not a quarterback that throws for 4,500 yards either. I'm not saying either one is better than the other. Cowboy fans will go with CD and Eagle fans will go with Brown. Yeah, that's right. DFW. What I'm saying is that those guys in Philly actually are underrated. They're underrated. As much shit as I give A.J. Owens, he's underrated. Hey, somebody do me a favor. What's Tyreek Hill's? I didn't realize his targets were that far off. I mean, he's 25 targets off of CeeDee Lamb. What was the targets for Tyreek Hill? And then do me a favor, look up Jalen Waddles and what his targets were, because he had 1,000. Okay, JM says 171. Still, AJ's 158. That's 3 games. That's 3 games. 28 extra targets. Waddle had 104 in the 2-hole and a quarterback that threw for 4,600 yards. Devonte Smith had like almost 100 catches or whatever it was this year and 1,200 yards receiving. Now, also those numbers tell me as a defensive coordinator, sorry guys, that has to change because I know where all these guys are getting the ball now. You ain't going to your tight end. You ain't going to your backs. You're going to Y or Z. And it's so predictable and so easy to defend you guys. And if the quarterback can't handle the blitz, I know where you're going with the ball. There's very few places you're going with the ball. You're going with those 2 guys. That's why you got to run the ball. You got to run the ball more. And I think that's why they got Saquon Barkley. The key to the Eagles' offense this year is going to be Barkley, not the receivers. If they can't move the chains running the ball, you'll look like last year. Somebody had 81 catches on 118. So get this. Am I right? Senor. So on 112 targets, Smith had 81 catches. Look at the catch ratio. He had 81 catches on 112 targets. That guy's really good, man. That's really great. That's really absolutely eye-opening for me. Holy shit. Is that good? 72.3% catch rate. Guys, we're 23 likes away. Please, we're trying to get to 200. Good grief. Hey, am I saying something positive here? Both those guys. Wow. I didn't realize that they were that far behind. I did not realize that. I mean, so 75% of the time, Smith's catching the football, you throw to him. Dude, if you gave 181 targets to A.J. Brown, he'd have 1,900 yards every year. If you gave that to Devonte Smith, he'd be the best possession wide receiver since we saw Antonio Brown back with the Steelers and also DeAndre Hopkins in Houston. I want to bring some balance here. Devontae's very underutilized and now underpaid. Oh, you would drop that in there, wouldn't you? hey, DFW. Hey, DFW is going to do this. Hey, he's a great player. Too bad he don't make shit. And in relative terms. In relative terms, okay. Wow. Man. Buttering us up to shit on Hurts. Wait, RTF, that's not hard to shit on a guy who throws for 2,200 yards a year. It ain't that hard. Goddard doesn't get targets because Hurts doesn't throw over the middle. JM, not only that, and because that guy misses 25% of his season every year. Not thrown to a guy can't count on in a game plan. Sills, how decent is the guard Eagle sign today? Put the guy's name back up there. I saw the guy's name. A.J. Brown, 106 catches. So let's look at this here, senor. On 158 targets, you got a guy with 70% and the other guy 72. You talk about the sure hands group. They got it in Philly. Whew. Man. Yeah. Well, Brady wasn't taking $20 million pay cuts. Was it taking 20? Yeah, and 20. Hey, don't forget something too, Forrest. In 22, he had 22 touchdown passes. Wasn't like he was doing anything special. Imagine if he had a quarterback that could put actual yards up. Those guys would be $3,000. Hey, get this. Let me ask you this then. With those targets to being the way they are, can you imagine if you had a quarterback that could actually throw for some yards? These guys would be both $2,000. They'd be $2,000. Wow. Impressive. And just imagine what those two wideouts would do with a better. Oh, absolutely. It'd be insane. Seals, imagine Josh Allen. Oh, my God. Josh Allen and those receivers, they'd have 2,000 yards apiece. Put AJ and Devontae with Allen, and they'd have 5,000 combined yards. I wonder if the Eagles see that and know that. I wonder if they see that and know that. Because to tell you what, getting rid of Hurts is a lot of money. So you can't do it until 29. You got to hang in there. Can't wait for you to cry Guido tears when when Josh Allen shits the bed. Well, you wake me up when that happens, son, because it ain't happened yet. Justin Herbert throwing those two guys the ball, they'd have 6,000 total yards. Absolutely. Holy cow. Man. You can't have everything, though. That's why today Marcus Hayes goes. It's one of my favorite quotes from that interview. Jalen losing games won't be for his talent. It'll be because he's not a great quarterback. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Talk about an absolute urination moment. Hey. That's Marcus Hayes. You got to listen to the interview. All right. Where are we in the like buttons here, Xander? I know we're getting closer. Got to get to 200. Where are we here? Where are we in the like list here now? 180. Oh, come on, guys. 20 away. 20 away. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Valle Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Greasy's right. NFL players die young. The average age of an NFL player is 67 years. It's all we last. Why do you think those scumbag owners have put that concussion protocol in courts that will never get paid? Because they're hoping for all of us to die, the old guys. They're just hoping for 105 years of football. There's only 16,000 of us alive that ever played in the game. Think about that. Better chance of you being an astronaut than being a pro football player. There's 16,000 of us alive that have ever suited up in an NFL football game. And we don't have decent health care and help build the league what it is today. The multi-billion-dollar league that it is. Larry Allen passes away today at the age of 52. I say the greatest offensive lineman I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. I thought Bruce Matthews in my time was sensational. Mike Munchak, those guys. But Allen's the greatest I've ever seen. Of all the great players the Dallas Cowboys have had, I would rank him. If I was going to go like this, who are the greatest Cowboys? Who's the greatest Cowboy of all time? It's Emmett. Then it's Staubach. Then it's Lilly. Then it's White, Randy. Irvin. Pearson. Aikman. Larry Allen. The top 10 guys that have ever played. Too Tall's right there too, Charlie. Absolutely. Too Tall might be the most. Chuck Cowley, down bottom 10, 11, 12 in there. Haley's in that room, but he wasn't Harvey and he wasn't Randy. Okay, Tony D. Tony Dorsett, forgot him. He's got to be up there in that top 10 for sure. Man, just a lot of great football players. Can you imagine the great Eagle and Cowboy games that you had going back and forth from the 60s on? Early 60 was all Eagles because the Cowboys came in the league in 60. But man, what a great, great, great rivalry that you had with all those great teams and all those great football players. That to me, like I said, when I grew up, it was Giants and Eagles. And it was also Cowboys and Eagles. But then it was Cowboys and Redskins too when I grew up. But for me, the biggest rivalry when I grew up was Eagles and Giants. That to me was the best of all time. Guys, please do me a favor. I'm going to say it one more time. Make sure you check out the Birds 365 interview with Marcus Hayes. It was exceptional. And you can form your own opinions. And again, you know one thing that I love about the interview? What I love about the interview was it's going to give you something to watch this year and look out for to see, okay, to see what, if it was true or not and how it panned out. So I think it sets the stage for it's either going to be a really great year or a very bumpy year. Big Joe, Xander, we appreciate it. You guys were awesome. We thank you guys so much for coming aboard. Please hit the like button. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.